Welcome to one of the most exciting nights in the entire comp climbing circuit. It's time for the IFSC World Championships in Lead. My name is Matt Groom and I'm joined once more by Shauna Coxey in the commentary box, and we're about to watch some of the world's best athletes go head to head on a lead rope. Shauna, what a semi-finals we witnessed this morning. We're both excited for finals.
Incredibly excited. We saw some big effort, some big surprises in semi-finals. There was so much action, it's almost hard to summarize just how intense the semi-finals was earlier. The routes look really different, I think, for finals though. So yeah, maybe we'll see some different action.
Absolutely. Well, we're watching Miho Nanaka from earlier on. She's qualifying in last position. And we do have 9 women and 10 men in tonight's final due to 2 groups in qualifying. I mean, we can't really rely on countback. So you get even more climbing action for you. Mia Krampel, an Olympian, someone you've climbed in the Olympics with. It's good to see her in this final.
It is, both Miho and Mia, fellow Olympians. They kind of both came off the route looking like they had more to give potentially, and I think some of the athletes felt the same way. I think we'll be seeing a lot of fight on the wall tonight, especially having looked at the routes. They look like they're going to be routes that the athletes can give a lot on the wall.
Yeah, endurance is needed up there on our 15-meter tall lead route. This is Jessie Piltz plummeting down at Shianso. She crossed through, was looking solid, but had a couple of issues today after a dodgy few comps, so she needs to find some confidence here this evening.
Yeah, she did look a little nervous actually, and I hope she's managed to shake that off. Having not had the climb she wanted, she got really extended here, tried to correct it, wasn't able to, but we are going to get to see her climb again, and I think she'll be feeling fresher than she expected because she didn't get to give it her all in semi-finals.
That's a very good point actually, yeah, because other athletes went higher. Laura Rogora here from Italy, she was in full endurance mode. She hit this left shouldery move, feet slipping all over the place and eventually falling on that right hand. Molly Thompson-Smith, your teammate once upon a time and someone you know well.
Oh, I am so excited that Molly is in this final. She's been stepping it up throughout this year, coming off the back of a tough injury, but also having her best boulder result ever yesterday in the Senior World Championships. You know, so this is a big moment for her to be doing two days of climbing. Potentially going to be a little bit tired from boulder, but it didn't seem to be holding her back earlier on this morning.
Cannot wait to see her perform. And here is Brooke Rabatu, one of 3 women climbing in last night's finals. And look, spoiler alert, we're stopping not revealing last night's results, so we will be revealing who won the boulder in occasions, but Brooke falling on the head wall. Well, that lady won the boulder, Janja Garnbret. 4 flashes last night. She's on form.
Not just 4 flashes, 8 flashes. She flashed every single boulder in semi-finals, every single boulder in finals. Josh Yuki pointed out, Janja only pulled onto that competition wall 8 times yesterday and walked away with a gold medal. Looked like she timed out in the semi-finals, which is unfortunate, but the route really tested her, made her fight hard, and we saw I Murray take the top spot in semi-finals, which is very interesting coming into this finals. Not the position Janja's familiar with. She likes to be in that top spot, so I'm expecting a big show tonight.
Absolutely, yeah, that was I Murray at the end there. She got highest, rolling out of that hold eventually when the time ran out. And that is our packed stadium. It seems to be getting fuller and fuller every time we look at it. I think 5,000 seats have been sold here tonight.
7,000,
7,000,
yeah,
wow.
I just got an update from Nina Caprez, who's speaking here. She's creating the show alongside a fellow commentator, and yeah, she was saying 7,000 plus all of the extra seats, that, you know, the freebie friend seats, and then all the athletes, and then the coaches, everyone else in here. So we've got way over 7,000 people.
Wow. Well, that is what the athletes get to come out to in a minute. They're currently backstage warming up, and in a couple of minutes they will begin climbing and start our finals. We cannot wait. So there is our audience waving at the camera. Lots of smiles on people's faces. They were running into the arena, but the athletes are about to be introduced. Miho Nanaka, as you said, an Olympian and no stranger to the biggest of stages.
Yeah, I just saw her in the hotel actually before she headed to ISO. A huge smile on her face. She seemed very surprised. I did say to her that as soon as she pulled on, it looked like she was going to do something special on that wall. She's coming off the back of a really disappointing result in boulder. She wanted to be in the finals, let alone, she missed the semi-finals, so let alone not missing the finals. But yeah, she wasn't happy with that, so to be here in this lead final, it means a lot to her, and it also means that she's done enough now to be in the lead and boulder event that we've got coming next week.
That is awesome news. Yeah, those results will be confirmed at the end of this competition. 20 athletes go through to the boulder and lead semi-final and then progressing into the final for those Olympic tickets. Mia Krampel, Jessie Pilz, and a very experienced women's final. No first-timers in here.
No, that's a great point. We've got a really experienced final here. Yeah, no new faces, but there's also some younger athletes, some older athletes, and everyone's kind of trying not to glance up at the route there. They're fighting the temptation.
Laura Rogero runs onto the stage. Big jacket to keep her warm, and it is a bit colder here in the stadium, but now the audience are in, things are starting to heat up, so expect temperatures to rise a little bit. Laura with a big smile on her face.
Huge smile. She's really happy to be there. She posted on social that she's incredibly excited to be climbing in this final, as are all the athletes. Yeah, Molly looking really proud right now, as she should be.
She is indeed, and you said she's come off a nasty ankle injury last summer, and it's good to have her back climbing at this level again.
Having the
that.
comp of her life as well.
Yeah, she made this boulder semi-final, made the lead final, so she is on fire. And Brooke Rabatou, she was climbing last night, and great to have her on the stage. She's joined by Janja Garnbret, who took that gold medal last night.
And
then our final athlete out is Ai Mori. She enters through that arch. A bit of a smile on her face. And she will be the last climber climbing here this evening.
yeah, she gave us a little smile there. I doesn't tend to give much away. Super focused athlete.
Well, those are our 9 finalists. And just a reminder, there are 9 women because of the 2 groups in qualifying. I mean, we can't rely on countback in the same way. And later on, you'll see 10 men. So lots more climbing you'd normally get, because there's usually 8.
Yeah, usually only 8 athletes. Quite rare to have ties in both the men and the women. But yeah, like you said earlier, much more climbing for us to see.
Absolutely. Well, the athletes observed the routes about an hour ago now, actually, so we're going to check out some of this, because I always find it fascinating, this moment. Who's talking to who, who's grouping together, and how they're reading the routes. It's always interesting. And Shauna, you've been in this position. What kind of things are they talking about?
So they'll be planning a sequence, trying to figure out the beta, looking for anything that isn't immediately obvious, especially if there's a sequence that they're quite confused about. If there's something that they don't quite think they know how to get through, maybe they'll have a few different options in their mind, especially if they kind of get stumped at a point where they don't know what they're going to do. They'll chat to their friends or their fellow teammates. You can see when there's kind of a question or a bit of confusion, they group together and then split up and move apart. Some athletes prefer to read the route totally alone. Others really, really like having that input. You'll see them move around a lot, move around the stage, trying to get the best angles, trying to step really far back as well, because it's hard to see up and over. In the men's semi-final, we saw quite a few blind holds. It was going to be important for them to move around, which we did see. On this route, I don't think there's any secrets. I think it's a very sustained kind of, no big surprises. We don't see anything too dramatic, but I think we will see a lot of fight. It's going to be a route where they can get stuck in, really having to grit and bear their way through all of the moves. It's a long route, it seems. The women's semi-final was quite wild, quite different, quite interesting to watch, because it was so strange in many ways. We saw upside down, we saw spins, whereas this, it seems like there's not too much excitement going on with the climb, but I think it'll mean that they can showcase their best skills.
Yeah, I mean, endurance is the key. After that jump, really, it's just relentless through. Goes all the way to the right and then all the way back towards the left, towards that final top hold, and a jump at the top. And that is what the women have ahead of them. Those ghost holds, those ghost 360 holds at the bottom, dual texture, and a bit of a tricky start. And that is our top 9. So, Miho Nanaka qualified in last position. She'll climb first. Ai Mori qualified in last position, so she will... Sorry, first position, so she'll climb last, if that makes sense for you. So those are the 9 athletes who get to climb on the wall in a minute. And of course, as Shauna said, the athletes trying to get points for that boulder and lead competition at the end of the week, where our podium finishers will be given Olympic tickets. And apparently they're giving actual tickets away, so I can't wait to see those. But that is to come. And we have para speed as well in the middle of all that, and then that boulder and lead comp. And if you've been joining us, you'll know we had the boulder competition over the last couple of days.
Lots of action.
It is. When I say it like that, it's a lot of climbing, isn't it?
It sure is, and many of the athletes that are climbing here tonight, they've been in multiple rounds of this competition already. Most of the athletes that are climbing here did do the boulder as well, some competing in boulder, the women yesterday, some competing in semi-finals and finals yesterday evening. You know, surely they're going to be feeling some fatigue. The men did get a rest day yesterday, but we will see athletes that competed in the men's semi-final of boulder and the final too. So yeah, a lot of climbing for these athletes.
It really is, and we've seen quite a lot of tape going around. I remember Molly's fingers were taped up in the semi-final. She seems to have got a bit of skin back from that. So, and here we go, Miho Nanaka, first out. Serious look on her face. This is the moment for her. The audience stacked all the way up to the back of the arena. Miho is allowed about 40 seconds, if she wants it, to look at this route before that 6-minute clock you can see on the bottom right of your screen starts to tick down. And if you're new to climbing, the rules for lead pretty easy to understand. You start at the bottom, you finish at the top, and you have to clip the rope into all of the quick draws, which are the things dangling off the wall as you go, in order. You can't skip them out, and you can't clip them out of sequence, and we're seeing her clip the first one right there. A bit of a nervy start. These dual texture holds, although the athletes can see, you have to be careful with your feet.
You have to be really careful on these holds. There's parts of the hold that are slippery. So when we say dual texture, it means part of the hold has texture, part of it doesn't, which means if you step or pull on that part of the hold, you're going to slip straight off. We thought this move might be quite powerful. Miho, a very strong, powerful athlete, making light work of that. We should see her flick out, maybe slightly dynamic, but she could also bring her foot in here. She's opting to chalk up and have a little rest quite early on, which is interesting. Maybe feeling quite, her hands might be quite sweaty, there's going to be nerves going on. It's tense in the arena right now. The crowd don't know what to expect of this route. When you're the first climber on the wall, you're kind of informing the crowd as well. So the crowd will build throughout this round, which is going to change how they react to what the climbers do. A really kind of a point that is often overlooked because the crowd have a big impact. Miho here on this section, she's doing a slightly different beat to what was expected by the setters. I did think we would see them go left, right. They thought they might be bumping around. Saw a grimace on her face there. She had to try like a weird compression squeeze. It's kind of the more unique bit of the climb before they get into the sustained, keep climbing, don't get pumped, go as quickly as you can through the moves.
Yeah, it's like a giant fridge hug that, and now she's squatting down on those jibs, and there's a jump to come. Fairly straightforward, especially for athletes of this caliber, but it is one of those moments you don't want to mess it up, so she's going to really be taking her time to sight it, hits the jug, and we'll probably have a moment to shake out with that heel in and make the clip as well.
Not a difficult jump, but almost. That makes it even more nerve-wracking when you know that it's possible, you know you're going to be comfortable. Miho, a really strong boulderer, very, very, very happy on a dyno, but maybe not as used to doing them on a lead rope. She's clearly been making big progress with her lead, coming off the back of a 5th place in Chamonix recently, so a final spot. I think it's going to be really important for her that she's had that experience. This isn't her first finals, like you say. She looks comfortable on the wall. She doesn't look like she's faltering too much. She just needs to keep climbing through this next section and give it everything that she's got. Absolutely,
and she's moving on now. Has that right heel locked in still, crosses through to the blocked sloper, out to the yellow, and some more compression style moves here, quite physical.
Yeah, a definite change of pace from the start. We kind of saw that compression climbing, but in a very different way on the volume. You are having to squeeze, but you're pulling on holds, whereas here you're squeezing between the holds, having to kick the feet across there just as the setters were expecting, crossing under. This is a really physical part of the climb.
It is indeed, so she gets set up once more, grabs the rope to make that clip.
And you see her right knee there, it's pressed against the volume. It's not quite a knee bar. She definitely couldn't rest and take her hands off here, but she can get a little bit back by aiding some kind of weight loss, like getting that really scummed in, we call it a knee scum.
Yeah, just pressing it in takes that pressure off the arms. She had a bit of a moment with the clip, got it rope sorted out though, and you can see now about halfway-ish on this route, but not halfway in terms of climbing, because it goes all the way to the right and then all the way back left. So a long way to go, and she falls.
Her left foot slipped there, so she lost the left foot in the drop knee. As soon as that came off, it spat her off the wall.
Wow, well, we're going to catch a replay of that, of course, in a moment. But Miho, a fairly early fall for her, because you can see with the hand on the hips, she wasn't necessarily too pumped there. It was a mistake or a slip.
She wasn't, yeah. Her left foot did slip. I don't know if it was just the body positioning thing or maybe a concentration issue. Or maybe she threw her hips slightly too far to the right. We'll get to see shortly, I imagine. But yeah, she's shaking her head in disappointment.
So Miho really barely breathing up there, shakes her head, but now turns to the crowd and says thank you. She will go, and we never know. I mean, that's our current high point. Let's find out in 8 athletes' time, but we think it's a bit low for a podium place, that one. And that was the jump, as you said, quite straightforward for them, but you just want to make sure it's precise.
Yeah, you're going to a good hold, though. I think any athlete we see get their hands to that hold, they're strong enough to hold onto it. You can take a wild swing on that hold, and it shouldn't matter too much.
Absolutely. Well, Miho's comp is done. That's where she got to.
And you can see here,
all right, so Mia Krampel enters the stage through the arches, and she'll know it was a fairly early fall from Miho, and that might start to play in her head because she's thinking, is it a tricky section down low? Did Miho make a mistake? Obviously, you won't be over-analysing that, but it's something that might be going on.
No, but she's definitely aware of it. She's been sat there waiting to come out. You can feel what's going on in the arena much more than I think you would imagine. The crowd give a lot away, and like you said previously, you can see quick draws swinging, so maybe she'll know how high she got. But she definitely doesn't know the points. We saw earlier the points on the wall, so you could see how many points were awarded per hold, which is how it's scored. Each hold has a point value, and then you can get a plus on that if you make a convincing move towards the next hold. So I don't know if Miho will get a plus because she slipped before she was able to start the movement, but yeah, we'll see in the results shortly.
Yeah, she's plussed at the moment on the screen. You can see that graphic on the left. That shows the high point. Of course, things can be appealed and questioned, so those scores are provisional until they're confirmed.
So imagine her foot slipped as she was in the movement, which would make sense as to why she got the plus.
There we go. So Mia is underway. And we know there's a little bit now. This fridge huggy move, that black volume, creating a 3D effect from the wall. Is crazy, that angle. She's on a real roof there. Yeah,
speaking with the setters, this was the part they were most excited to see how they would navigate around this big black volume. It's awkward. They're having to be really wide, squeezing, toe hooking, heel hooking, compression. Kind of quite unique. We haven't seen anything like this in this competition yet. The women's route in semi-finals had a lot of different styles, but no compression in this style, so yeah, good to see something different.
Love the word navigate, and you are right. This is a huge object up there on the wall. She's got to come around, but she has successfully got through it, and now she will clip before the jump. That was important, something the setter said, like, yes, please, make sure they clip it. And then she will do the jump.
Maybe take a little while to compose herself here.
Yeah, you want to get it right, don't you? I mean, we've seen early falls on jumps that should be straightforward, so it's not 100%, but Mia, easy for her.
Yeah, she seemed to build her feet higher than Miho did, which made it way closer for her, because when she stepped up on her foot, she could almost reach it without her foot coming off there.
So good work from Mia, and a good opportunity to rest here on probably one of the biggest holds on the route. So she'll take her time, but it's quite low down, so you won't want to hang around for too long. 3 minutes 50 on the clock on the right. You have to finish the route before that ticks down.
Yeah, it can be really tempting to spend time on a good hold, especially when you know there's hard climbing to come, but she is on the clock. We can see the clock ticking down. She's got enough time, but she doesn't want to waste time low down resting, especially if she doesn't need to rest, so she has to make that decision on the wall. How long does she rest for on this good hold? Does she power through to the next bit? And will there even be another rest? We don't know yet.
Absolutely, yeah. We haven't seen too much of this so far. That big blue cross, by the way, on the wall, on that hold coming up, that's the last clipping point for a quick draw. Let's just give the judges an idea. And Mia now hesitating a bit.
Yeah, so she's nearing Miho's high point. You can see the footwork. She's having to really fight to get through this section. We were told that this kick out to this little screw on is quite difficult. Miho did not seem to struggle whatsoever. She's matching into the hold here, and then she's, I think, going to step back like Miho did. It is risky though because it could slip, but she's got her foot high on the jib, which will make a big difference.
Yeah, she is safely through and moves into the lead provisionally at the moment. Left hand bumps up. She's on the yellow section. It's just below the head wall, about a meter, and you can see it there coming up the metal coping on the wall. And it goes from 40 degrees to 15 degrees. So the athletes get a little bit of a respite on their arms, but the climbing tends to get harder, more technical up there.
Yeah, definitely. It's more powerful for the midsection, and then on the head wall, kind of more subtle movements, really terrible holds. It's hard to imagine how bad these holds are, and especially after the climbers have done all the climbing to get up there. It looks like she's starting to tire a little bit, getting a lot less accurate, kind of puffing her cheeks a little bit, but really rocking over on that heel and making the most of the heel. Great flexibility there.
Yeah, nicely done by Mia, but she slips there with the right hand, waves goodbye. But new high point, 42, and a good climb for Mia Krampel.
And quite a high point for this early in the round. The women's semi-final was we didn't see many women get to the head wall. It was a long route. It was a lot of fighting going on in the midsection. So a very, very different style of route here. I said earlier there's not much exciting going on in this climb. That's not what I mean. It's an exciting climb to watch, but nothing too wild like we saw in semi-finals. Much more climby, much less bouldery, I would say.
Yeah.
But in a way, I think that will showcase a lot of fight for these athletes. We'll see them really, really pushing and fighting.
There we go. Yes, I think it's a very good way of describing it. So Mia Krampel done. Next athlete will be Jessica Pilz. And back there, our cameras aren't allowed, but that is where the athletes are waiting. The mysteries of the isolation area. And Jessie Pilz comes onto the stage.
Jessie is such an experienced athlete, a previous world champion, and she loves being on that stage, and lead is her happy place. We saw her have a really good round in Boulder, I thought. She's gone away and worked on her weaknesses in Boulder, and she came out flashing the final Boulder in semi-finals, which was very dynamic, very wild. She was really happy with that. She chatted about it on social media. It's good to see. So she's going to be wanting to come out here and show her best self.
Absolutely, and she is brilliant on a lead rope. She really came into form for that. Yeah, she's moved from that bouldering side of things into the lead circuit and looking fit and strong. And a good start for those ghost holds. You can just about see the sections that are no texture, mainly because they don't pick up chalk as much. They tend to stay yellower.
Yeah, they're quite shiny, so you can kind of see them, but it's hard to see how bad those holds are. They look quite positive as these athletes are moving through, and there are some little dimples, but they are not good holds.
No, they are not. And generally, the friction on these things are far worse than what you get in a commercial gym. So if you listen to this and you're a climber and you think these holds are good, just trust us, they are not. And she's on this big black fridge hugging section now.
I'm really enjoying this section, just like the route setter said. It's interesting to see how they're figuring out their own way through it. I don't think we've seen any of the girls doing the same sequence of hand movements, so they can make their own way through it. It doesn't look risky. It's just kind of zapping them and making them think, kind of throwing them off maybe, just ahead of that big jump that's coming next as well.
Yeah, it's a very good point. I mean, Jessie had toes there as she tried to pull through, and she's just struggling to get the body position. Now brings the right heel in and rocking up on it.
You can see she's squeezing with her thighs there. Every part of her body was in contact with that volume at that point.
Yeah, she'll be glad of the rest here as she finally sits on top of it, squatting down in a frog style on her heels. She will just rest, lean back. And there is, just to let you know and keep you updated, there's an appeal on Miho Nanaka currently. So they're appealing that she shouldn't have got 32 plus, she should have just got 32, and that's something you said. So yeah, the judges, coaches and judges are looking at that now. And
really smooth for Jessie there. There was no doubt in her mind whether she was able to do that jump. She didn't even seem slightly nervous on it. She hit the hand placements perfectly, rode the swing just as you would want to. A great lesson in doing a dyno there from Jessie.
Absolutely, yeah. When she's in her flow, she's one of the world's best. Has that heel locked in, and it amazes me always when I watch that how curved they have the foot.
Yeah. We talk about flexibility a lot in climbing, and one thing that I think isn't mentioned very often is ankle flexibility, and also hip. We talk about hip flexibility, but to be able to open your hips in a heel hook, just like Jessie is doing here, you see her pull right in, her toes pointing really far out, and now the ankle flexibility, her toes pointing really far down, that allows her to open her hips, push them into the wall, get her weight through her feet, take some weight off her hands, therefore making her more efficient. I am geeking out again. You're looking at me like
I'm not at all. I'm honestly loving your explanation. Shauna, if anyone who doesn't know, and everyone should, Shauna, Olympian, world-class climber, multiple medals to your name. She really knows what she's talking about. So trust me at home, listen to this lady speak, because she's giving a masterclass here in the commentary box. And Jessie Pilz is through the purples and into the yellow and black part of the route.
Yeah, the athletes are the ones giving the masterclass. I just get to point out what they're doing, which is a privilege to be here. So I'm really, really happy to be talking about it.
Yeah, and Jessie is nearing the point where Miho slipped. Yeah, just remember that blue cross. It's the last clipping point. That's what that indicates.
You could see there Jessie was kind of narrow, in a narrow compression on those two volumes. She looked like she was having to fight a little bit there. You know, it's got a lot more physical at that point. You start this route by climbing, it's not too much trickery, and then you get into the compression section, a few more moves just tic-tacking around, and then it gets way more physical here before you get into the head wall again, where it's going to be kind of really sustained resistance climbing.
Yeah, we haven't seen many rests after that dyno and a jump. It's just micro shakes on the way through up into that head wall. And Jessie now a big move up with the right and holds the swing, kicking that right leg back to get back into the wall.
She is starting to look tired here, but one thing Jessie is really good at doing is keeping climbing through that pump. You can see her elbows are starting to lift. She's suddenly not looking as comfortable. That toe hook outright is really smart though. Unfortunately not working for her.
Yeah, falling just below the head wall there. Her score of 38 puts her in second place, below Mia Krampel and Miho Nanaka, whose score is under appeal, so that might change.
Jessie looked a bit powered out there. So on a lead route, you can fall off because your forearms feel like they might explode and your hands start opening, or you can get kind of zapped, like no more power left. And this route is very sustained. There's no one stopper move. It doesn't seem like we've got any really cruxy moves. It's just draining the athletes. And you saw that with Jessie there, that she just she looked tired.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, she made the jump, fell high up, and Jessie's night is done. Jessie lowered down from the wall, and we're waiting, that hand hovering there in space, holding back our athlete. Shen So will come out from Korea. You can see the 3-2-1 countdown being given, that's cool. And she enters, and someone who's just really come on in recent years. Like whenever she walks into a stadium now, it looks like she belongs. There was a point where she was a little bit insecure, unsure of herself, and she just belongs on the biggest of stages.
She sure does, and she is still only 19 years old, but she's very, very experienced. She's done so many World Cups. She's had a good year, I would say, maybe not as good as the previous year. She's had some unfortunate results. It's been a season where she's kind of been dealing with some adversity. She had an unfortunate mistake with her clip in 2 finals previous, and then last World Cup, she just fell on the crux move, something we're not used to seeing. Cheon is an athlete that can definitely be up in that those top few, and I hope we get to see her give her all on this route.
Absolutely, we're rooting for her. To let you know, Miho Nanaka's score has been downgraded to 32, so she loses the plus.
I thought that might happen.
Yeah, it was a good call. So she's through into the ghost holds now. Swings around, puts that right foot on the jib. And you can see the scoreboard starting to take place now. We haven't got all the names listed on the left, but you can have an idea of where they are.
Cheyenne opting to miss the far right yellow volume there, going with her own method.
Yeah, true, different from her. And that's not snow falling, that's chalk and dust in the lights there. It's quite atmospheric. Our cameramen are loving those shots.
It did look like snow.
Oh, now that's different. So she hit the side as an intermediate, then bumped into the right, and now she will get stood up underneath, cutting loose.
The route setters were expecting them to, where her left toe is now, take both hands and match as an undercut, and then you can roll to where her left hand is now. None of the athletes have done that yet. I feel like it's maybe not that obvious, but they're all making it work for them. The holds on this big black volume are relatively positive. They're not in cut, they're quite slopey, but they're good holds, and they're on a kind of flat surface. It's making them really work and get into the right body positions. It's really forcing them to be quite technical in their climbing through this section.
All right, Sharon hits the jump with ease, floats through that. Make sure the rope is in the right side for clipping.
I think we saw a slight little smile there, maybe a smile of relief getting that jump out the way so she can get into the meat of the route now.
Yeah, I think the athletes know what a jump like that means. It's just to unsettle them, and we do see it happen. I mean, I said before, we see jumps being messed up like that, so.
We saw a lot of big mistakes happen in the semi-finals for many athletes. So, yeah, if you need a reminder that those can happen, check out the semi-finals.
Exactly, just to hype the nerves for you guys watching back at home. I don't want you to have too much of a good time here watching the bottom of this route. Sweaty hands.
Sorry, Cheyenne here, she was quite hesitant on the sequence. It looked like she wanted to cross to the second crimp and match. There wasn't enough space. The setters had blocked that in order to force this sequence. She came back down, made the bump again, and is now finding a bit of rhythm, it seems. But it did slow her down a little bit there. It
did, didn't it? And she's now makes that clip, and she begins this resistance section all the way to the right and all the way back to the left. On the score of 27, aiming for 42.
Like I said earlier, the atmosphere has changed in here. Suddenly, the crowd, they aren't cheering right now because they know that it's likely she will get through this section, which is very different to the first athlete on the wall when they don't know what's coming. Often they'll cheer throughout. So it's a different experience, all part of the sport. So you can hear a couple of cheers, a couple of maybe the athletes cheering for her, but when it ramps up, when it gets to an important moment, the crowd will cheer and she will know that that move counts. So right now on the wall, she probably knows that these are moves that are possible, these are moves that aren't too hard, just keep climbing, keep going, because she'll be feeling the energy from the crowd, even if it's subconsciously. Yeah, it's a really good point that, and you can hear it. Now I'm listening for it as well. And the audience now starting to build. You can hear the claps coming as she approaches that head wall. The audience and the DJ doing a great job of it as well. He is hyping the audience. He's starting the build-up. All right, here she goes into the business end. Oh, that was a try-hard face from her then. And you can see there's Jessie's score, there's Mia's score, so she's in the ballpark now. She looked to struggle with that move a little bit. It seems really powerful, quite far, but now she's able to rest and take a little moment to recover. Yeah, and when she does, it's very relaxed. She has that ability to come back from pump. Shaking out those arms. Often you can see in an athlete's face where they're at pump-wise. So if they're grimacing when they're shaking, they aren't relaxed. They are struggling. They are having to fight. We saw there she was very relaxed in her face. She didn't seem to be struggling too much. And I think we'll see her definitely get a few more moves out of this. Oh, she's rocking up on that heel, still looking confident. As the 3 fingers on. And a bump out with that thumb pinching. Nearing the point, look, she is moving into, she is now in first position, drawing with Mia Crampel, but due to count back, she will take the lead and now moves past that into 43. Climbing this sequence perfectly, just as the route setters intended, but an awkward clip here, having to reach all the way through off a terrible hold. You see her fingers, they're just on the volume, her thumb's on the thumb catch. She's going to cross under to a second thumb catch. Opting to come back down, have a little shake, compose herself maybe. Yeah, she has had that moment. Now she needs to go left. She's made a slight tweak there, so instead of crossing under, she matched underneath with her right hand, which worked so much better. She works the feet over, crosses through, but falls on that cross move onto the purple jib. She comes down, setting the new score though, and moves into the #1 spot. Yeah, just a few moves from the top, a really, really great climb. I hope she's happy with that. I hope she's coming down feeling tired. She seemed to start struggling in the midsection and then just kept it going. And we asked the setters, they said this is a resistance route. It's sustained climbing. It's going to zap them. They're going to come off feeling tired if they get that fight in.
Oh, Sharon's evening is done, and a good high point from her. 4 athletes done now. Laura will be up next. Sharon just struggling with that knot a bit. We talked about it in the semi-finals. It can lock up a bit when they fall, so that's why she's having that moment. And let's watch it again.
It's always so hard to undo, you know, when you're pumped. And I think it does mean that she is pumped, which is a good sign. And I hope she's happy with that performance.
Yeah, she needed a confidence boost after those competitions previously, and I think she's got it from that. That was the jump down low. Immediately got the heel in order to shake out and rest. Really the only full resting point. And that was the fall at the top as she crossed into the purple jib. Up high. Yeah, she does look pretty satisfied, doesn't she? No massive disappointment on her face. Well, let's look at our scores so far. Shianso moves into the lead with 47 plus. Mia Crampel 42, Jessie Piltz 39, and Miho Nanaka on 32. Laura Rogger, Molly Thompson-Smith, Brooke Rabatu, Janja Garnbrett, and I, Maury to come.
Great to see a split in the field here already. No ties, no one obvious crux move. I think that's what the setters intended. So, yeah, I think they should be happy so far.
Well, we will have a little pause in proceedings here as the midway point of our competition hits. There's action going on the stage, and it gives us just a little chance to soak in some of these atmosphere and check out some of the highlights from earlier on with these 4 athletes having climbed. A mascot on stage, they're doing a good job. Yeah, Shauna, let's have a look at this in more detail, because Miho, first athlete out, and always a bit nervy for her, but that jump might look hard for people who aren't new to climbing, but for these women, it's kind of their bread and butter, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not very far. You're going to a good hold. You're going from a very comfortable position. Dynos are all about going from a position of comfort through that discomfort back into a comfortable position. But in competition, they tend to make you start in an awkward, uncomfortable position. But they've been very kind here with that jump.
They have, and these are the opening holds of the comp. We just saw that. Mia made the jump look beautiful. Slight curve to her back and legs, holding herself in. And then this move where she really had to start to fight, shoulders coming out and back and elbows up.
And her hips too. If her hips come out, then she'll be falling off. You know, where our hips go, we go. I'm always talking about hips and climbing, and you can see that really well in this route. The movements are really fascinating to watch because this climb is forcing them to move in a really efficient way. You can't, it's burly, it's hard, but you can't kind of just strength your way through it. We're seeing here Jessie trying to get a toe hook to make something work. I think she came off powered out. She looked kind of zapped. You can see there she was a little bit floppy as she came off. She just looked exhausted.
She did indeed. And our final athlete, Shenso, down at the bottom, had that heel locked in, made the jump look easy, and ground her way upwards towards the top. Good work from Shenso as we watch these replays, and nice to see this angle on the holds. You can really get an idea of what the athletes are holding on to. That was her final fall. She was the last athlete we saw, and Laura up next. We'll see her on the mats in a couple of seconds. So here she is on stage from Italy, Laura Rogger, and there's another appeal come through. Jessie Piltz's score of 39. Yeah, so the Austrians are trying to upgrade her score to 39 plus.
It would be really interesting to see if that appeal is upheld or not. She had a toe hook quite far to the right, which actually kind of stopped her movement upwards into the progression of the hold. It did look convincing from the camera angle that we saw that she was going for it. Yes, I don't think she was going to hold on, but she definitely made a convincing effort towards it. So yeah, we'll see whether the appeal is upheld or not.
There we go, we'll let you know when we know. Laura underway. She prefers routes that are more endurance-y, so this kind of a route might suit her style.
We do have quite a physical burly section in the middle, and she did have to jump there, which is a surprise. Cheon opting to miss out that big jump to the right and go direct, which was interesting as well. But it doesn't seem to have flustered her in the slightest. I do think when she gets into a flow, into a rhythm, maybe she'll be a little bit nervous of the jump because that's not usually something she enjoys. But yeah, if we can see her on the head wall, I think we'll see a really great performance from Laura.
Yeah, so she has a jump to get through in this section, which is thuggy. You can see how much she's working, cutting loose as well. It's a wide grip.
You can see how wide it is. She's one of our shorter athletes. You can see just how wide it is there. Actually, if compression is wide enough, often it feels quite comfortable, but it doesn't look like a comfortable position. I don't think she's going to struggle to get up and over her foot here, and it does seem like you can get something back in this position. You open your hips out, get really comfortable, and just have a little minute if you need it. She may take a rest, may kind of compose herself for this jump. We should see her take this next clip now too, as she does.
Yeah, she has the jump to come now, and you're right, she will take a moment here. You can see her looking upwards. Made that clip before the jump, and now she's just eyeing it up. Long shake out. Make sure the rope's in the right place, make sure your feet are set, get ready, and here she goes. Pretty straightforward from Laura there.
And she looked happy with that. A sigh of relief almost on her face, a smile of relief actually. It definitely plays on your mind, you know, when there is a jump in a lead route and you know it's important to kind of get that right. Yes, it's not a difficult one. You could see that it's a good hold from the floor, but like I said earlier, that almost adds some pressure because it's unlikely any other athlete's going to drop it, so you don't want to be the one to do that. And, you know, these athletes, they read this route before they come out, and they'll read it all the way to the top. They want to go all the way to the top. They want to be getting on those moves because you get this one attempt, and then, yeah, it's gone forever. You don't get to try it again.
Absolutely, you're right. It's that kind of a sport. And now from here on, really, Laura, it's in her comfort zone, so it's hers at the moment. She just needs to keep going, and she will. She has this look on her face that makes it look like she's about to fall, but she just tends to keep pushing forwards.
Yeah, I think she maybe will find this middle section a little bit harder than the top section just because it's quite physical, it's quite like intense climbing. She looked like she wanted to clip there, decided against it. She does need to make this clip off the hold she's got now. You can see there's a blue cross. That blue cross indicates it's the last position she can clip from, so she cannot continue climbing until clipping. She just has, so now she can carry on.
All right, so the clip is done, and you're right. Suddenly it looks like she's fighting a bit harder here, and did take a deep breath.
Yeah, I thought maybe she would struggle with this middle section just because of how physical it is. She does prefer the more sustained climbing, which is to come. But these moves are big, these holds are bad. There's an awkward foot move here. She looked like she was going to leave her feet to the left, but she's opted to move her feet to the right now, which is good.
Yeah, she has the pinch in and precise with the feet still, but yes, starting to hesitate. High left foot makes that move easier. Bumps out to the right. And now that is a good example. And she always has this thing where she puts those laces around the shoe, and I always mean to ask her, and I never remember to. So bumping that left hand, adjusting on the crimps as she tries to lock a heel, but she's struggling. This is a huge move for her.
She's struggling, she was fighting. It looked like she kind of powered out, very similar to Jessie, almost like they couldn't bend their arms, like their biceps just wouldn't work anymore. I don't think her forearms will be tired. I think she's going to be really powered out from those physical moves in the middle. Originally, when we first saw some athletes come out on those moves, it didn't look like it was as intense as it was, maybe because they're more boulder specialists, so those moves are like more familiar to them and more comfortable. But Laura, yeah, really struggling through that middle section. It's unfortunate we didn't get to see her on the head wall because I think she would have loved it.
So she comes down after that big slap. Her competition is done for now. Let's watch some of those moves again. Yeah, that was the big jump we haven't seen anyone else do.
Yeah, you can see there's kind of a little bit of an edge on those holds, so Laura was able to stay on the wall and look quite comfortable despite it being a big move, but definitely zapping her.
Exactly. Well, we're just watching the final moments of her climb. This is where the fall came here. Now, an athlete who you are very familiar with, I've known for a long, long time, Molly Thompson-Smith, comes out onto the mats. And you were saying she's having the competition of her life. What a boulder round she had the other day.
Yeah, her best boulder performance that she's ever had at a senior event. And she considers herself a lead specialist, so to finish in the semi-finals, to get to the semi-finals in Boulder. What an event for her. Now to be climbing again here in the final. The crowd went wild for Molly, a crowd favourite.
She is indeed a lovely, lovely human being as well, and she is underway. Nasty injury, as we mentioned. She's come back from that, so it's a good sporting story, coming back from adversity. And Molly, more than capable of ending up on this podium.
From reading this route, I thought Molly might quite like it. I thought that in the semi-finals too, and she really did showcase her best. She's seeming to be a little hesitant there. She didn't look like she was that comfortable. Maybe the nerves. This is a big competition, right? She's going to be feeling the environment. She's going to be feeling how tense it is. But I do think we'll see her get into her flow, get some rhythm, especially once this dyno's out the way.
Absolutely, and that's coming up in a minute. Jessie stays on 39, by the way, so that's not a plus for her. That appeal rejected. So this is the fridge hugging sequence, up with the right hand.
For this sequence here, the more climbers that go on it, the more chalk that's going to build, especially because it's a black volume. So you see here she reached straight into the right hand. There wasn't much chalk on that originally, but the last few athletes have done that, so it now seems like the obvious method. I imagine we'll see all of the climbers do that from now on, just because there's so much chalk there now.
Yeah, it's a very, very good point. I remember Adam Ondra telling me that he looks for thumbprints on routes to find out how to hold the holds, and it's these little tips, but Molly, a huge swing sideways.
Risky move from Molly there. She got very, very extended on her arms. She's reaching to the small crimp. Actually, she climbed that the exact same way I read it, and then watching the previous climbers, I thought, oh, that's not right. But Molly made it work. I think it wasn't the most efficient method through this really awkward section, and she does seem a little flustered by it now. But there's a good position here. There's a time for composure, time for resting, and I think she's going to need it right now. Yeah,
I think she is. You're right. She just needs to settle herself down, calm that heart rate. She's made the clip, and there we can see she'll just shake, head against the wall. She's got plenty of time so far, so she can take this moment. And deciding to rest before clipping that draw, puts the heel in. You can feel the tension at the moment in the stadium. It's quite unique. It's very different from Boulder yesterday.
It is, and it's also different from when we were watching Laura climb and a few of the other climbers. Because she struggled through that section, the crowd have suddenly kind of held their breath through it, and they're all feeling this with Molly right now. They want to see her give her very best. They don't want to see mistakes. They don't want to see slips. They want to see people fighting right to the very end. So hopefully Molly feels recovered, feels composed now, and she can get really stuck into this Burley section that's coming.
Oh, she was quite low on that jump. That was a moment. That right hand right down to the bottom.
She very nearly missed the good part of that hold, but she didn't. And she's still on the wall. She is still fighting. Her heel is up. She's going to have a little shake here, I think. And then hopefully we see Molly find a rhythm. Opting to rest with a little bit of a Spider-Man pose here, I think.
That's awesome.
We saw her do that in semi-finals. There's a great shot from Lena Drapelli. If you go check that out on her Instagram, it's really cool. And I imagine another shot of Molly doing the exact same thing right now. She got a great smile in with the crowd there as well. And hopefully that makes her remember where she is and appreciate this moment, because yeah, she's going to go fight for her spot as high up as you can in this final.
Yeah, she sometimes writes little messages to herself on her shoes or her arms to remind herself just to relax and enjoy the moment. So that might have been one of those moments where she's looking back at the crowd thinking, wow, I'm here.
Yeah, here she's crossing over. We saw Cheon try this as well. She tried to match it. It didn't work. Ideally, she needs to come back down and bump left hand again. Molly not climbing as comfortable as I would have liked to have seen. Molly, when she climbs well, she's fluid, she's smooth, she looks so incredibly strong. But this isn't the most efficient climbing we've seen from Molly. Opting to do a figure four there, putting a lot of weight through her right hand, which is going to be tiring it out. This next section is a section that Molly would normally not struggle too much with, but I do think she's going to be tired from not reading the route quite as well as she would have hoped.
Yeah, I think you're completely right, and there we go. It's proven she just burnt out, and that is disappointment from Molly, although she'll take it as a learning experience, and we'll keep an eye on that boulder and lead score as well. Hopefully see her climb again.
So unfortunate not to get the best Molly on that climb. She didn't look like she managed to get settled, get into a flow. She's got a lot more to show, a lot more to give, but she's going to be in our lead and boulder event next week. It is not over yet. This is a long competition. She can learn a lot from that. I really hope she takes a lot away. And she's just been in the World Championships final in lead and the semi-finals in boulder. So yeah, great work from Molly.
Absolutely, yeah. So unlucky for Molly. Let's watch a few of those moments again. That thumb pressing against the edge of the wall. You can see the chalk from the climbers before, those handprints, slapping her way around and looked uncomfortable. That was really the beginning of the sort of the fluster.
That was impressive for her to hold that. So really great work from her that she managed to keep climbing.
Okay, well, we reset for our next athlete after that. And Brooke Rabatou gets a big reaction from the crowd as she walks out onto the mat.
I honestly don't know how you do this, Matt. My palms are sweating. These are like Brooke's a really good friend of mine. I've known Molly for so many years. I feel so personally invested. I know Brooke's mum's in the crowd, and yeah, I don't know how anyone watches their own child competing. Like, wow, this must be so intense. But everyone watching, just so everyone knows, watching climbing competitions is so much harder than competing in them.
I just end up with no emotions at the end of it. Honestly, completely empty. It's hard. You can't watch this and be on the circuit and not just get so involved in these athletes. They give it everything. All right, Brooke off the ground. She's underway. First clip in front of her face, gets that in. And here we go. This finals cracking through, just 2 athletes after Brooke to come. So our podium starting to take shape soon.
Brooke and the next 2 athletes, both Janja and I, were all competing yesterday evening in boulder finals and yesterday morning in boulder semi-finals. These athletes have been doing so much climbing, or maybe not Janja, but these athletes have been doing so much climbing. It's worth remembering that not just the climbs that we see on stage, they do their full warm-up routine before every round. They are physically going to be tired. They train for this though, and I think Brooke, I do think she can really get stuck in with this route. She's so impressive at figuring out her own method, rarely tends to get flustered, especially on a lead rope. I believe she prefers lead, although I don't think she's a specialist. She is a lead and boulder specialist, in my opinion. She's such an impressive talent in many ways, and still so young too.
She is indeed. She'll be looking for that Olympic ticket, as is everyone. I'm going to keep on hyping it because I cannot wait. But she's got a job to do here. First of all, she went straight to the right, as you said, with all that chalk on the wall. It is the obvious way to go now. And there is her mum and coach there, or a coach there.
Yeah, there's Robin.
Yeah, she has involved. So toes in, brings the heel up to match where her hand is.
Really smart climbing. You could see she never got too extended. She wasn't pushed in her physical limits there. She's a shorter climber. She knew exactly what she was capable of, using toe hooks and utilizing everything she can to kind of maneuver and navigate, like I said earlier, around this big black volume.
Reaching back behind herself, a bit awkward there, but she can now rest and reset. There's that left hand on the edge of the wall.
See how open her hips are? She's so incredibly flexible, enabling her to sit on that foot and be so very comfortable.
All right, she's eyeing up the jump. Brooke going with the left hand, it looks, and then rethinking a little here. Getting that angle correct. Goes left, right. Whew, that gave me a moment as well.
She looked chalking up on one hand.
Oh, wow, look at that. She does that a few times. She's got that casual hang.
Honestly, it looks like she's showboating, and she is the last person I would expect to showboat. That was entirely instinctive. She was so comfortable on that hold. It just shows how strong these athletes are, that is an efficient resting position, a chalking position for them.
Madness, isn't it? Look at those footwork as well. The left foot doing as much work as the right. 3 fingers makes the match, and that is awkward, as you know, it is blocked.
I'm surprised with Brooke there that she opted for that method, but she knew that it would work. I've seen Brooke match some of the tiniest holds I've ever seen, outdoors and indoors. So yeah, I'm not surprised she made it work, but I thought she would do the bump again.
Yeah, so she got the match in, now into these blocked holds, and now she's unleashed a bit of power on these moves. Tries to get a heel toe cammed, locked in as she drop knees down.
Yeah, toe cam drop
Sorry,
knee.
toe cam, yeah.
Yeah, that was really, really smart from her to do that. She's a climber that likes to use her whole body. We often don't see Brooke trying to do something in the kind of showboaty, hard physical way. She'll use her heels, she'll use her toes, she'll make the most out of what she's got to offer. She's a really instinctive climber, using her body so efficiently and so well. And also when she gets to the point where she needs to try hard, she can unlock something special when she's giving her best self.
Absolutely. Well, this is near where Laura fell. Brooke's in 6th position at the moment. A long clip, deciding to opt to go, as Laura did, maybe to the next one. Oh, no, she's reset and got it. And we can see now the stacked names on the right. Mia Krampel's high point on 42 is looking pretty good at the moment.
It is, and Mia coming out really early, it almost looked like the route maybe was too easy, but now we've seen athletes struggle through this midsection, showing how much Mia kind of gave to this climb and how well she performed through it. She seemed to find a great flow, something that Brooke really likes to do. She likes to be climbing in that flow state. It seems like this climb almost doesn't allow for that to happen very easily, which I'm surprised at. I thought we would see more flow through this section, but it seems to be they're hard moves. It's not, there's no point at which it's a given.
Yeah, they're quite choppy sequences as well, sort of change from crimps to power, and then she's now really fighting. Eyes up the next hold. Jumps almost above Laura's score. Has a look at the clock, and she's only got a minute left. That went quick.
It went really quick, and I think she almost seemed quite surprised with that too. It just shows that these moves have been testing her. She's been having to fight harder than I think she wanted to in order to get to this head wall. She looked tired there. She looked pretty zapped. Again, I think she was powered out. I thought this would be more sustained and endurance-based route, but we're seeing the athletes really have to give a lot of power, lots of biceps. Yeah. Different to what I was expecting, very, very different to the semi-finals, but I really like this route and what it's giving us.
Yeah, it's fun. We're seeing everything come out of it. Brooke's eyes at the top of the wall, looking at the last holds. She's trying to figure out what happened up there. She looks back and then she'll let it go. And let's watch again, shall we? So she came out to that corner, that thumb engaged, 4 fingers on the crimp. The jump was good. That's it, just readjust herself before making that. And then this was the awesome hang, and then this clip, slightly awkward because of that long draw, makes it swing around a little bit, difficult to clip, and this was her fall just on the head wall before she came down.
So Brooke there, she was awarded the plus because she was making a convincing movement. Her hips were moving up towards the next hold, whereas as Jessie wasn't awarded that. She is currently sitting in 3rd spot. I don't think she'll be happy with that. She did look tired. When Brooke is climbing in her best self, you know, we see her kind of hit this flow state that is really beautiful and incredible to watch. It was a little bit jerky throughout that, and I think the route has really forced the athletes to kind of get out of their comfort zone and not really find a flow. So yeah, a lady that doesn't tend to struggle with finding flow is this lady right here. So I am so excited to watch Janja, as always, but especially on this route. And I feel like she'll know that this route hasn't been topped yet. She'll be feeling it from the crowd. And she's going to be looking to add to her gold medal list from World Championships.
Well, exactly. I mean, she's already got 1 this week, and she will be her 8th World Championship gold if she gets it tonight, which is a massive statistic for her.
It is at only 24 years old, considering the World Championships tend to be every other year. She's not actually competed at that many.
Well, and the last time she did, she won the double. 2019, she got it in boulder and lead.
Yeah,
so,
I was there alongside her.
Yeah.
I watched her. I competed with her in all of the rounds nearly.
So she could get the double-double, having missed the one in between 2019 and now.
Yeah, she took the World Championships off after winning gold at the Olympics, so I guess we can forgive her for that.
Just about, I think. So Janja is underway. Not climbing last, as she tends to. Imori is after that.
Janja seeming a little uncomfortable here, like she didn't quite know what she wanted to do. She looked like she wanted to go into the undercut, kind of did a little hand swap. It didn't seem to fluster her, but almost surprising that she wasn't as confident in the sequence that she'd read and intended. In the semi-finals, we saw Janja struggle, something we're not very familiar with seeing.
Well, she's slipping here, isn't she? That
yeah,
right foot.
I held my breath there. I just wanted to give a minute to see what was coming. A very risky move from Janja. Really solid in the toe hook, but...
Yeah, I mean, you talked to her in that athlete lounge, and we were just watching her. I think both me and Sean are pausing here because this is unusual to see Janja struggle this hard this early.
It really is. Yeah, she definitely made me pause for a second there. I want to let Janja's climbing speak for itself and don't want to speak over any of the action that's going on. Normally we can chat away while Janja's at the bottom of a climb. She usually cruises through it, and that was unusual to see her kind of not looking as smooth as we would imagine. I guess a little similar to Brooke in a way.
Yeah, you're very right. Well, she makes the jump, and now this is her opportunity just to settle things down a little here.
And you can see how comfortable she looks there. She's got both feet on, she's taken the clip, her arms nice and straight. She's given a little breath though, she just needs to recover and let that bottom section go. Her focus needs to entirely be on this next section that's to come.
We're so used to seeing Janja dominate, but it is good to see this kind of a fight from her. This is one of the most exciting last couple of climbers I think I've seen in a long time. Gets that foot a little caught up, hand in an awkward position, but now adjusts. She's going to go for the match possibly, unless she drops back down and changes it.
Yeah, she is going to, yes, I thought that might happen. She's going to really rock over on that foot, open the hips out, sit on that heel, went right hand again. Smart way to do it, very efficient. She seems to maybe have found her flow now.
And you can see those Olympic rings caught on camera. The Olympic champion. Heel locked in, nice and calm. Look at the time though, 2 minutes 50 on the clock.
Unusual for Janja to have to climb this slow. Really great work from the route setters, challenging these athletes and slowing them down, because we want to see them fighting up on that head wall. We don't want time to become a factor, but it potentially is. Janja needs to kind of get a move on and get climbing so she can really start to fight on that head wall. We did see her struggle in semi-finals. She had to fight really, really, really hard to try and get a clip in, wasn't able to make that and ultimately timed out. So a position that I haven't seen Janja in for a very long time, timing out. These routes are much different to what we've seen on the circuit this year, it feels like. Maybe you can speak for that better, having been there. But yeah, great to see Janja being challenged.
I know, I'm enjoying this, and I hope you're at home watching too. 2 minutes on the clock now. This is a new experience for us. Janja in real determination mode.
Very risky climbing from her. She's able to make it work because she is so strong, but very rare to see.
Wow, this is fascinating stuff here. Those are the rings I talked about before. She's standing on that small jib and quite a way beneath the head wall. Minute 39, and you look at that distance to go, and it's a long way. And she's got some big moves. She checks the clock once again.
She's currently on 37. Cheon's high point is 47 plus. She's got a lot of climbing to catch Cheon's high point right now.
All right, Janja needs to unleash something here. Brings the right foot through. There is the head wall. Change in angle coming up. Gets the heel in.
And suddenly looking more comfortable, looking in a position where she feels happy. It's like she suddenly found her rhythm maybe, but she does need to keep getting a move on. The crowd are building. It's getting tense and intense in here.
It is indeed. She's got that left knee slightly dropped down, now upgrades it. Bumps over to the left, and from now on it's just left. Makes the mat, goes high up with the left. Yeah, you're right, she is suddenly hit another gear perhaps, 40 seconds.
She knows she needed to as well. She looked down at that clock and it's like it's shifted into a different mode of Janja. She's got 30 seconds left. She does have enough time to top this route, but she's not got much time to rest. She needs to keep moving. Come on, Janja.
This, if she manages it, is a heck of a comeback after that start. 22 seconds, brings the right foot up, big drop knee, and she'll sit for a sec to shake. She has got time here. Not a lot of it, but she can have a micro shake.
She's in the high point right now, but there is one climber left to go.
All right, we'll want to top this out to make things sure. Hits the top quickly. 6 seconds, she makes the clip. She does top it out. Boy, did Janja give us a moment then. Oh, well, she's done everything she can do, and that really was something unique to see Janja fight that hard. And as you said, suddenly it was like a switch went when she looked down.
Yeah, yesterday interviewing her, she said she wants to give her best Janja. When she does that, she knows she's not going to fall off. It looked like that wasn't the best Janja, but it did not matter. She's got to that top anyway, with just a few seconds on the clock, making that clip. What a moment. She's taken it all in. Only one lady can knock her off that top spot, and we get to witness it right now.
Yeah, and let's talk about pressure here for a sec, because Imori is back there. She would have heard the crowd react. She'll look at the time. I reckon I probably knows that Janja's topped it, so I knows what she has to do, perhaps.
I don't think it's possible for I not to know with the way the crowd is going absolutely wild, as they should be for Janja. That was a great performance, not what we would normally expect. So many recoveries, some really, really sketchy moments, but wow. Whew.
Yeah, what a moment, everyone hugging. I think they know as well what a fight that was. Janja, unreal. Well, let's watch some of these moments. Flicked the leg around the rope down low, and this is where it started just to go a little wrong for her. She had a couple of cut loose, couple of slips, and it seemed to build and sort of compound itself as she went higher.
Yeah, second guessing herself a lot. I would be curious to know if the moves and the holds were harder and the holds were worse than she was expecting. Maybe I'll get to interview her if she is the winner and we can find out.
That's so true. And Janja made the last clip, got the last hold. You have to clip the draw to top the route, and that was her story. Well, here she is. We talked about her a lot in the last couple of days. Imori is out and immediately air climbing the second she hit that stage.
I never seems to be flustered. She's always so composed, her face so relaxed. I would love to know what's going on in her head right now. She's got to be feeling some of this pressure.
Look at that shot as well. I mean, that's the backdrop to her. It's intense, all of those eyes on you, all the spotlights.
It is, but suddenly I think when she hits that first hold, it'll all fade away. She'll be absorbed in the climbing and what she has to do on the task at hand. But we need to remember, I knows now. I think she knows if she tops this route, she is the world champion. On countback, she will beat Janja Garnbret. So it's hers for the taking.
It is indeed. I've just had this moment. Our sport is so special, isn't it? Well, our final climber out for the women, Imori from Japan. Let's see what she can do.
Interestingly, Imori is often a slower pace climber than Janja. We just saw Janja get to the top with just a few seconds on the clock, so potentially we could see time out. I think she'll know that Janja took that long because she's been sat there waiting to come out and climb. She'll have had her shoes on, she'll have been ready to go much earlier than she expected. Janja often not taking the entire 6 minutes to climb, so she'll definitely be aware of that, and I think we can see that in her pace right here. She's climbing a bit feistier than we normally see her climbing, which is good to see.
Yeah, it's a very, very good point, that, yeah. I mean, we saw her being timed out in the semi-final run, so yeah, needs to get this timing correct. My eyes are locked on that clock now, you've said that. I'm really counting it down. What can Imori do here? She bumps the hands. It's a wide compression move. Out onto the jib with the right hand.
Our earlier climbers seem to make quite light work of this section. They seem much more comfortable. I wonder if that's the pressure. Also, the crowd are really quiet. Earlier on, they were cheering them through every section. Like I said, the crowd have so much knowledge of this route. The crowd have way more knowledge than the climbers because they've seen now 8 climbers climbing and they know when to cheer. They know when the tense moments are. Suddenly, when the crowd aren't cheering and you're finding it hard, it's a bit of a confusing position to be in because you're like, okay, no one else found this bit hard. Why am I? I'm not normally a big fan of dynos, but making light work of that one there.
Yeah, she didn't hang around, did she? Had a little look at it and then went, and now she will rest.
We did see other climbers take a moment to compose themselves. I did not need that.
She does not indeed. All right, well, clips the high draw. Makes the match, and here she will rest, which is good, because there aren't many opportunities after this. A physical section to come through those yellow and black holds.
A very short rest, though, and then she's opting for the match on this hold. Not a surprise for her. She loves a match on a tiny hold and often makes it work.
All right, up to the blocked sloper with the right hand. Brings the left hand through. And this is where things start to get physical. Bumps up, looking towards the next jib. High above her head, a bit blind. She missed it there and now bumped into it, adjusting on that hold as she went.
Impressive that she held that, missing the jib. That black hold is really slopey, so really good that she was able to stay calm and composed there, adjust and hit the jib.
Cuts loose, swings the legs round.
Again, Ai's a climber that tends to make the most of what she's got on the wall, using her feet, using her body, really smart, but also a climber that's physically capable of doing those powerful moves when she needs to.
Yeah, absolutely, and she is showing that right now. Has that blue cross hold.
And we have seen Ai beat Janja previously, you know, at her home World Cup last season. Ai took the gold spot and Janja came second. Not a familiar feeling for Janja, I'm sure. But Janja has now done everything that she can. She's taken the top on this route. She couldn't have done any more. It's all up to what Ai does now. It's out of her control. She just has to sit in that hot seat and watch.
Ai with a massive drop knee down to the ground, hits the left hand, and then bumps out with the right. 2 minutes on the clock. It is good timing that at the moment. So, last part of the wall coming up here. There's the left hand on the jib on the black volume. And that was the power move that Laura made look hard. Ai cruising through that.
She's looking really solid, but she isn't going to be able to take much rest. So she's going to need to keep climbing, get a good rhythm. It's sustained, it's hard. There's no point at which this climb gets easy. She needs to keep going.
Absolutely. This is Ai Mori's moment here, and the crowd cheering every single move she makes now. Bumps up with the right. Look at the scoreboard. She moves up to just under a podium position. And there is Janja staring upwards, calm and collected. Reaches out left, and we're into headwall territory with a minute and a half, or less than a minute and a half on the clock. Hits the first jib with that tick mark. Needs to watch the rope, careful not to stand on it.
She's being really precise with her foot placement too.
Yeah, she has to be, gets that pinch in.
And she's really solid through the hand. You're not seeing her flail. She's not fighting to stay on the wall yet. She does look composed. I think we'll see her get potentially to the last move, and then it's going to be exciting from there.
Absolutely. All I need to do is finish this route. I say all, it's a huge task still to go. Hard moves, but she's got lots of time to do it.
She does have a lot of time. She's really stepped up the pace. Great to see from her.
It is. Well, she's one move away now from a World Championship gold. Can she push Janja out? Deny her the double.
Chalking up before the last move. Really impressive that she's able to even hold that position.
Here we go. She latches it. If she clips this chain, she will be world champion. And she is. Ai Mori takes the gold here in Bern. Japanese coaches and the audience goes crazy. What performance, Shauna.
What a performance. So impressive that she was able to keep her composure. She knew how much that climb meant. She knew she needed to stop it to win. The pressure was on, and yeah, she kept it together. Really impressive climbing from her.
Well, confirmation then. Ai Mori takes the gold, pushes Janja down into silver. Xianso third, and those three names, I mean, that's kind of the who's who of lead climbing at the moment. Unreal from her. And she will, in a minute, go and join the women on the left of the stage. And I would imagine be greeted with the celebration and the hugs that we expect from climbers. It is a wonderful, caring sport, this.
And really great to see a big smile on her face there. We don't tend to see much emotion from Ai. She's very composed, but that one means a lot, as it should.
Yeah, those smiles almost mean more from Ai, because you know that she's earned them. It's great to see. And Miho just has her arms raised up, waiting for that hug. Look, she waited for a while. And Janja as well is there to celebrate with the podium finishes. That was the jump over to the left.
It just goes to show how important that semi-final round was as well. The route setters separating the field in the semi-finals round for the top athletes, and the fact that the two athletes finished the route today, maybe it doesn't show that they got to fight here, but they did in the semi-finals. They were split, and yeah, a really great show from all of the athletes on a route that just didn't let them get comfortable, didn't let them find the flow. So hats off to them all.
Indeed. Well, the men is to come, but first of all, we'll have the flower ceremony and then Ai's interview on stage. And in fact, Sean, I think we have to say goodbye to you, so I'll see you in a bit back for the men's. Well, those are our top three. Mori in the middle, Janja Garnbret to the left, Shenso to the right. Flower ceremony is the chance for the audience just to appreciate them. And we'll have the main podium after the men's competition, which is coming after this. And the audience now starting to settle down again. Let's have a look at the women's final results. Mori and Janja Garnbret both topping out, but due to countback, Mori takes victory, pushing Janja down to silver medal. Shenso in bronze, 47 plus was her score, followed by Mia Krampel, Brooke Rabatu, Jessie Piltz, Laura Rogera, Miho Nanaka, and Molly Thompson-Smith on 26 plus. It also means that she is the first Japanese athlete to win lead gold at a world champ. So history in the making there. Nina Caprez there on stage talking to Shan so well. Mori goes over to the left of your screen to go meet Shauna, who is waiting with a mic somewhere down there. And as I said, the men's competition to come, 10 men to climb soon. And we'll just listen to this interview. I'm not sure if you can hear that back at home, but I hope you can, so I'll stay silent to not ruin it for you if you can. Well, Shauna has found Mori, so let's go down to them at the front of the stage.
Congratulations. I'm not sure if you can hear me. It's so loud in this arena. How do you feel right now?
Before climb, I told myself just enjoy. So it was very excited time.
You looked to find something extra on the head wall. The time was ticking down, but you found such a great flow. Did it feel like you knew you could top the route?
Huh?
Did you know you could get to the top?
I know maybe Janja got top, so I must get top. So I'm very nervous, but enjoy climbing. I found なんだ気づいたら I tried to climbing and reach the top, so I'm very happy.
You look very happy. It was so amazing to see you find your flow and climb so beautifully. A huge congratulations to you and a massive good luck for the Lead and Boulder event that's still to come. So good luck for next week.
Thank you.
Lovely interview there with Mori. Congratulations to our new world champion. That's 3 world champions we've seen in the space of a couple of days. And we've still got the men's to come, so if you've still got some emotion left, if your throats aren't raw from screaming, then we've got another 10 men coming up in a couple of minutes. There's some big names in there with Toby Roberts qualifying in first position, and Adam Onder and Jakob Schubert and all the rest, but we'll talk about that in a sec. You can see there going down to the front of the stage with Nina Caprez. Let's watch some of the highlights from earlier on. So this was the bronze medal finishing position. Shan-so from Korea. Fantastic to see her come back from adversity. A couple of dodgy comps for her by her standards. Needed a confidence boost, and boy, does she get one here today. Bronze medal for her, and a brilliant performance. Adjusting those feet nicely. Janja Garnbret with this silver medal. Well, we saw something a little bit unusual from Janja. A Janja who had to battle But somehow she pulled it back, and with seconds remaining on the clock, she clipped this route. Let's check it out. The big jump at the end. It's not over though, not like boulder when you have to match. You've got to clip that quick draw. She had to get it in quickly, as you can see. And Janja knew that she'd done everything possible. And it was now in the hands of Ai Mori. And then finally, in a minute, we'll see Ai Mori. Here she is, and Shauna's back in the commentary box. You saw her. I mean, some real emotions there from Ai. It was great to see.
It was so wonderful to see. She trains so very hard. This means so much to her. She keeps her composure all of the time. So then to see her let that emotion out, she was almost erupting with joy. It was a privilege to interview her, and really great to see her so very happy.
It was indeed a great interview. And good English as well from Ai Mori, so it's good to hear her express herself like that. It's brilliant, and that was the flower ceremony from earlier on. Well, Shauna, we've got a reset. We have the men's coming up now. A whole nother finals to go, and 10 athletes awaiting us.
I know, my cheeks are starting to hurt from smiling so much.
Well, that will come in a couple of minutes. Everyone's getting ready for the men's comp on the right-hand side of the wall, so we'll be with you shortly. Just see Janja there, packing up her stuff on stage as everyone cleans and gets ready. The dots on the stage there, ready and waiting for the men. And the men's route, again, a windy route, comes from the middle all the way to the left, all the way to the right, back again. A lot of climbing in there to come.
Yeah, similar lines what we saw in the women's semi-final, and some similar moves in some ways, but very physical through the midsection. We might see some dynamic climbing. I think the route setters are really hoping for that, but there are a few different options around it. Some drop-down moves, and then heels and beef, as I like to say, through the midsection, and then the head wall, kind of more delicate climbing, a lot like the women's. We see the blue holds with the small jibs on, making the men climb in a really efficient fashion. And the women's was very different to what I was expecting, and yeah, I can't wait to see what the men have in store for us.
Exactly. Well, they're being introduced now. Paul Gem from France comes out, very unique climber, has a different style and different moves from others. Sean Bailey comes out, good to see him back in a final as well. Team USA really representing here tonight. And there we saw his teammate Dokyeon Lee comes out. He was climbing in a finals a couple of days ago for Boulder. 20 years old, really up and coming. And then that young man, Serato, and you were saying he had numb fingers. He was cold in the semi-final.
Yeah, he posted on his Instagram that he had really cold hands in semi-finals, so hopefully he's got some hand warmers for the final. It feels a little bit cooler in here. We can see a lot of the guys have jackets on out there. But not to mention Serato's only 16 years old, as is Yunchan.
Yeah, Yunchan, just 16. 2 Korean athletes, males, in this final. And he's if he wins, he'll be the youngest ever male lead world champion.
So is that for Serato and Yunchan? They will be the youngest.
Exactly,
wow.
yeah.
And I believe Adam Ondra won world championships at 16 years old, so they may just be younger than he was.
Well, here's a crazy stat. When Jakob and Adam did the 2009 world champs, Serato was just 2 years old.
Oh, I didn't need to know that.
After that, we had
I'm the same age as Adam. I didn't need to know that.
Sorry, Sean. I'm older than you, I think, so it's more depressing for me. Ao Yurakuza was announced. Alex Megos from Germany. There is Jakob Schubert, who's looking very focused. And Adam Ondra with a smile as he runs out. This has been his main event in terms of concentration.
Adam, Jakob and Alex all stood on a podium together this year. We believe it was the oldest podium that's ever happened.
My favourite podium of the season.
But so much experience between those athletes.
And finally, well, less experienced, Toby Roberts, his first year has been a breakout. Multiple gold medals, can't wait to see him.
Disappointing boulder round for him. Toby had a disappointing boulder round, and he wanted to come into the lead semi-finals, show what he has to offer, and he did just that, qualifying in first place. He's 18 years old. It's his first year on the circuit. He did do one World Cup last year, but it's his first time doing the full circuit, and he's out of there.
He's gone, isn't he? Alex was motioning them to leave. Everyone wants to get out of there. Paul with a last lingering look, and let's have a look at the observation. Now, Sean, something I wanted to talk about is in most sports, it's athlete versus athlete, but they are sharing beta, which is a bit weird for some people who are new to the sport.
Yes, it definitely is, and I do think everyone wants to hear some dramatic, wild tale of the athletes not liking each other. But in all honesty, we're in a sport where we share beta, we encourage each other. You see the athletes down the bottom, they are screaming and cheering for the best performance that each athlete can give. And I think it's because we're competing against the route. It feels like the climbs in front of us, we're pushing ourselves, and everyone wants to beat each other, but on the best day. So yeah, it doesn't feel like there's any nasty competition rivalry stories just yet anyway. Maybe there will be. Maybe it'll all change as we head towards the Olympics. But no, it's a really beautiful moment watching the observation, because everyone does share. If someone notices something, often you see them tap them on the shoulder and they're like, come check this out, if there's an extra hold round here, or maybe step down here, you can see more. What you tend to find if there's a young athlete that's their first time in a final, I remember my very first boulder final, Mina Markovic said, okay, you need to know these things, we're going to go here, like kind of led me through it, and I was able to do that for younger athletes too, and it's really beautiful that our sport is like that, I think.
I didn't know. That's a lovely story, that
It
one.
is, and I actually said to Mina, do you remember it? And she was like, no. Yeah, she told me what was going to happen, where to go, because I was so nervous and had no idea what to do.
Incredible. Well, this is the route they have ahead of them. Not really a crack, that. I know there's a lot of crack people on the internet who will really want some jamming in there, but apparently not so much. But after that sequence, we have these big volumes on the wall as it starts to go to the right, and then, well, look, fight against the pump there.
And potentially an exciting swing dyno between the two Rock City volumes in the middle of the wall.
Love the hips don't lie. They were named that after you, Sean, after that hip chat. Finishes in the middle, 15 degrees at the top, 40 in the middle, 10 at the bottom. And this is our top 10. 10 athletes, because we couldn't count back to qualifying because there were 2 groups and there were some draws during the semi-final. Start off with Paul Jempt, end with Toby Roberts, and good to see, well, from you knowing this team so well, that British athlete there in the top part of the wall. So those are the athletes who are coming out in a couple of minutes.
Really impressive to see many teams having athletes in both finals. You know, obviously I noticed the British athletes immediately. Watching Molly climb, I was on the edge of my seat, and I can't wait to see Toby climb too. But also knowing a lot of these athletes for many years, some of them good friends of mine too. It's hard to watch it when you're so close to the athletes, but also this crowd here, it feels like they're a crowd that are the athletes' best mates. They are getting behind every single athlete that walks out on the stage. It's so great to see. We talk a lot about the atmosphere here, but wow, it's something special. It
really is, and there's such a range of styles between these athletes. I can't wait to see how they take on the route. And this is a man with a very unique style. Paul Jempt comes out, one of the tallest, 198 centimetres, and he uses that in a very interesting way. Height never really sort of dependent on whether you can do a route or not, but it changes how you look at it and how you attempt certain moves.
Definitely, and it sometimes can change the sequence of holds that they use, maybe not feeling comfortable in a position that was intended by the route setters. I asked the route setters when we were reading it with them, do they consider how tall some of these athletes are? You know, Paul and Adam, both taller climbers, and they said one of the route setters is quite tall, and I was like, okay. I wasn't trying to say you hadn't thought about it. But yeah, so they've taken that into consideration.
Yeah, a big diverse team of route setters here, and different teams for the boulder and lead and para as well. So there's a lot of setters in the house at the moment. That's that crack-like feature, and he does kind of try to wiggle a toe in like a crack.
He does seem to have a toe cam in there.
Yeah, that will please the crack aficionados out there.
Using it really efficiently to get that clip.
Yeah, and he bumps the right hand over. And this is our first time seeing this as well. I suppose we're a bit like the audience, you know, we don't know what's to come, whether it's undercooked, overcooked, just right.
Yeah, we feel when it starts, everyone kind of feels an atmosphere of almost suspense because there's so much unknown with the climb. Obviously, we can see it, we can read the route. We've had the privilege of being right underneath that wall. It suddenly gets a lot taller and a lot steeper when you stand underneath it. But these climbers, they... I was just pausing there as Paul set up for this sideways kind of committing move. Not quite a dyno, but definitely a pounce into that Rock City hold. The hold he's got here is really positive. It's a jug. It's a jug that we would not normally see on a men's route. So interesting that they've put that on. It's because that it's such a committing move to the left. It's not far, but you're coming from an insecure position, having to flick out to that hold and then land your foot on the volume just below him. He's going to spend a bit of time here, but I wonder if this hold will force them to rest longer than they want to. Or not force them, but kind of entice them.
Yeah, it's hard to leave a good hold, isn't it? I mean, it's something we experience a lot. When you've got something good, you don't want to go away from it.
Exactly, not when you've got some really spicy climbing to come.
Yeah, and it's pocket time here for Paul. They've got multiple pockets, and there is a pocket underneath that blue shiny volume as well that's coming up on the right of your screen. But this is a cool sequence of moves now, and a swing and potentially a dyno over towards it.
Oh, he seems to be unsure of which method he wants to use. So the intended method is here for him to swing, 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 flick his hips across like we're seeing now. He's going to let go of both hands and land on that jug. Again, a very big jug. So I expect all of the climbers will have read that move because it's such a good hold. It kind of suggests that you need to do something special to get to it.
Yeah, that's quite unique, and we see that kind of move in boulder a lot, but not often, as you said, on a lead wall. So cool to see the setters trying something different.
Definitely, and I think maybe it'll fluster some of the climbers because it's not a move they're familiar with doing on a lead rope, but that hold is so big, if they make the distance, they're very likely to hold on to it. These guys can hold on to not a lot, so I'd be surprised if we lose anyone there during doing that move, but it might, and people might be tempted to try something different and not commit to the dynamic movement, at which point we may see someone slip there.
Absolutely,
but
yeah.
not Paul.
Not Paul yet, and now he's got that pocket underneath the volume. It was blind, and look at this is a resting position.
Yeah, the setters were expecting this. They said you'd be toes above your head, and then you're going to need to cut your feet, probably campus, maybe put your feet up above your head.
Oh, and he's got a fig four in as well. We've got a bit of everything in this route.
And a lot of figure fours this competition.
True, yeah. And it's rare you see that much of a downslope in the rope. He's had to really climb downwards before going back up again. Seems a bit mean, that, doesn't it?
It does. Here he's going to flick out right, and then the intended beater is for him to put a toe hook in. They've put two holds on here. I think it's kind of almost being kind to the taller climbers, so they're not in a super narrow compression. But that big yellow hold you can see just at the bottom right of the screen, that is where he wants to get a toe hook. He's not opting for that, so going very different to what the setters intended, using a heel instead, starting to fight there. Yeah,
he only just made that move then. Lucky the heel was in.
It looks like he's kind of gone to 0 to 100 on the pump scale. He suddenly, all of a sudden, just seemed to start struggling.
I tell you what, look at the time as well. We've only got a minute 46 left, and he's nowhere near halfway yet. So Paul, with some, I mean, there's just so many moves down there.
He's already at 31 though, so quite a high score for where he is on the wall. It just shows how many moves and how much this route weaves around. We're heading into a different style of climbing now. He's going to flick out left to a crimp, hopefully hitting that really accurately if he can, but he does look pumped.
He does. Drops down, holds it, but he falls, and you were right. It was going then as he neared the edge of the corner, and then going back left, it was a bit too far.
Yeah, he seemed to hit the hold right. He just looked gassed. He looked tired. He was fighting hard on those lower moves, tried to shake out, but the handholds were so bad he didn't manage to get enough back to persevere through. The clock was ticking down as well. I'm sure that was playing on his mind a little bit. What was coming next is a mantle sequence, so he needed to turn the right hand on the big yellow volume, so maybe could have got a rest in there. He doesn't know that. It looked like he didn't have enough to give to get into that position, unfortunately, but I hope he's satisfied with how he did. He seemed like he gave it his all.
And it's worth remembering how young he is as well. I remember very recently when he was climbing on that youth circuit and destroying people in that. Coming into the senior world, he's done well and is now a regular in finals. But that was his fault. Chalk puffing in the lights there as he comes back down to the ground. Next athlete up will be Sean Bailey from the USA. Well, on the screens in the arena, we can see him, and now you can see him on your screens too. Sean with the peace signs up, says hello to the crowd, and a very unique personality.
Very much so, and looking pretty chill there, you know? He kind of almost had a saunter as he walked out.
You seem surprised. That I don't think I've ever seen that man stressed, even in the most hectic of positions.
Well, I seem surprised. This is the World Championships.
True.
He's in the final. He didn't have the boulder round that maybe he was expecting or hoping for. So this was important for him to kind of make progress in this competition. He is looking for the lead and boulder event that we've got coming up next week. So yeah, I am surprised he looks that chill, but I hope we see that come through in his climbing. Sean can be someone who is full of surprises on the wall. He can absolutely dominate around, or we've seen him make mistakes at times. So qualifying low down in this final, but that doesn't really mean so much with these athletes. The order does tend to shift around quite a lot because they're all so impressive. Maybe a little foot slip there, but it didn't seem to slow him down too much.
Yeah, he didn't do that poor foot in the crack. It was nice to see Brooke Rabbity with Josh Larson, the coach, down. We got that shot, supporting straight away, even after her own finals.
Definitely, yeah. There is so much camaraderie between all of these athletes. It is so fun to be around, and it's contagious when the energy is so positive.
It really is. Right, what can Sean do? He is underway on his finals route here. Now, as we know, it's a long one, so plenty of climbing to go. Sean changing the feet, adjusting into that big hold and making that look smoother than Paul did.
He made that look so incredibly smooth. No need to flick out left. He's so strong. He was really high up in the shoulders. What that meant is that the tiny crimp felt so positive and so solid to him, which is great to know coming into this next section. He's still got loads of strength to give. It's not, that move didn't fluster him in the slightest. He didn't even go dynamically.
No, he didn't. And now he's taking some deep breaths up there.
I wonder if it feels surprising for the guys to have two very big jugs on a lead route, something we very rarely see.
Yeah, well, he used it to rest. And he's going to match this long crimp. And then I can't wait to watch this again. Even when it was being explained to me, it's hard to sometimes picture it. And seeing these moves is so special. Look at this swing. And he's a bit shorter, so he didn't get that leg up to start with. He's having to generate all that with just his body.
Yeah, so a little bit like I was talking about in the women's semi-final, I was speaking about using your hips to almost go up and over a fence. Ideally, that's what you want to do here. You want to bring the body weight back with the hips, really flick into it, get a nice arc up high, and then land at that hold. Not kind of going through the fence, that'll make it a lot harder. If you can kind of come up and then down, land on the hold, the swing, the holding on part will be much, much easier. Sean giving us a really good demonstration of that right there. He hit into that start position really quickly, started the swing, got that momentum building, and was through that move very, very quickly.
He is, and now he gets that toe in above his head. We saw Paul rest almost like a bat hang up there. Reaching underneath a long way, and he hasn't got that pocket yet, I don't think. He's just on the lip.
He is. I'm wondering if he needs to take his left hand down to the pocket just below in order to reach the pocket that's where his foot is now. That's what he's opting to do. He wasn't tall enough to do the same method as Paul, so he needs to figure out his own way here. See him feeling around, trying to figure it out, find it. It's the first time we've seen him look flustered on this climb.
Yeah, it was. He had to work for that one. He's got it now, but there's no feet, so he needs to press on through here. Now, left foot on the jib. So much chalk and dust in the air. Our camera was trying to focus on the dust, not Sean, but we're back on him now. Comes out towards the right. Bumps in and crosses through. And this is where Paul started to look suddenly tired.
He did, yeah, and Sean looking quite extended in that position there. I'm wondering if he needs to move his toe. We just lose him.
That kind of came out of nowhere. I wasn't seeing him getting pumped.
It looked like he was more uncomfortable and pumped, like he couldn't quite find the position he needed to be in to utilize those holds as efficiently as possible. It's like his body position just wasn't quite right and he couldn't find it. A shame to see him come off like that and not come off fighting until the bitter end, but it's how competition climbing goes, unfortunately.
Absolutely. Well, Sean is done. Yeah, about halfway-ish. And we'll just wait to see his scores confirmed here. And he's currently underneath Paul in the rankings on 30 plus. Paul's got 33 plus. There he is. So he'll stay in that hot seat. And this was down low. The swing, he had to get all that momentum from his body.
Big flick of the hips there. You can see he landed onto the hold. He was kind of coming up and landing down onto it. Really good from Sean. He missed the screw on that's on the yellow. It did look like he was a little too short to reach that.
So next athlete will be Do-hyun Lee from Korea, about to come out. And there he is, hits the lights. And this man, such a good boulder. I can't wait to see what he does with that middle section of the route.
Yeah, our first athlete that was also in the boulder finals. So impressive, especially as we head towards the Olympic Games where lead and boulder will be one event. So, yeah.
It's certainly one for the future to watch out for.
You would be thinking we might see him there.
Yeah, his mentor, Seong-won Chon, is somewhere in the audience, and he will be screaming up at this young man here as he makes the first clip, gets the second in. And let's see how he uses this crack-like feature. Form between those volumes, just using it for the hands. No need to do anything fancy in there. Up towards the crimp with the right hand, flicks the feet around. And that's 3 clips in. And it can be hard when you get clips that close together. It's easy to go past them and make a mistake. And I'm always nervous about that down low.
Yeah, it can also feel a little bit annoying when you got, like, it upsets the rhythm of climbing, clipping. I remember a friend of mine saying that these comps should be top rope competitions so we can just see the climbers fight as hard as they can and not have to clip. But this is lead climbing. They do have to make those clips in order. That's the rules, so that's why we see them make every single clip.
Absolutely. Them's the rules, and he's going towards the big jug, and a bit similar to Paul, more of a flicky way into that.
Yeah, he went much more aggressively than Paul into it, but in a really good way. It was very efficient. He threw his hips to the left really confidently and landed in a perfect position. Yeah,
so good work from Do-hyun Lee. Got through that first move. He'll rest here as we've seen, but not for too long. Won't be that pumped at the moment.
Yeah, a really quick shake for him there. Didn't want to hang around on the jug.
And now bumps the right hand across the long crimp. Blocked, mainly to prevent heels sometimes, and also to make the athletes have to be accurate and precise with it.
Yeah, it looks like this one here is forcing that accuracy, just not letting them settle in, not letting them get too comfortable.
Look how strong that is. He drops down on the one arm.
He just shook out in a 90-degree lock.
Unreal, isn't it? Right, he starts the swing, a bit like Sean did. Hasn't got the length like Paul, hits the hole well. And now just casually one-arms it.
And untangles himself from the rope.
Unreal strength. He's not looking at all tired at the moment, but we know how burning this section is. No feet once you drop down there.
No, moves like that as well, kind of a little bit polarizing in the climbing community, whether you love them or hate them, but the crowd absolutely loving it here. And great to see the athletes forced to be really, really confident, upsetting their rhythm again. You know, they aren't just able to climb through it, they're having to make different movements. Here, the fact that he's having to do that really dynamic movement, then shift gear into climbing down, getting into the really tricky section where we've lost some climbers now.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I quite like that jump, I think. I was thinking about it as you said it, and it's cool to see it on a lead route, and also that transferable skills.
Yeah, I've not made my mind up about it yet. I don't know if I like it so much. I like that the crowd love it though, and it is changing the rhythm of the climb, but I don't know, maybe it's not my favorite move.
Well, let us know if you're watching at home what you think of this thing. You can comment and message us and tell us, so always good to have your feedback on things. And he is resting now for a while on this big jug. And this move from that angle just looks ridiculous. You have to go all the way down to where your feet are.
We saw Paul manage to stay on the jug up high, which definitely made the move a lot easier, but it also then meant he was super extended when he hit it, so potentially making the letting go part harder. Do-hyun here, he's just motoring through. He's so decisive and committing to the movements that once he's decided what he's doing, he's really strong through those movements. And chalking up a lot, actually.
He is, yeah. Taking his time on this. Has those crimps locked in. Big move up with the left. Very flexible climber with that high toe hook. Hits the heel.
See here, he's put his toe much higher. Sean had his toe on the yellow volume just below, which meant he came up short on that next yellow volume up. It looked like he couldn't reach the method that he tried, but he did not try Do Hyun's method. So I think this is really smart climbing for him. Whether or not he realizes and that's why he made that decision, I don't know. He's just hit the left shoulder, a very, very small crimp, and we'll see him throw over the top to the yellow volume that's got a little jib on.
Yeah, so he hits that hold. And keep an eye on the scores as well. Paul Gent's still in the lead with 33 plus, but he's now about to be beaten by Do Hyun if he can do a couple more moves here.
Paul didn't have that clip, so great that he's been able to make that. We'll see him push down on his right arm into that mantle position, potentially getting a little shake. Not looking as comfortable as I imagined he would here, and not opting to stay there for too long.
Yeah, my shoulders are screaming as I watch that. He's pressing once more.
Okay, so we're seeing him drop back down, kind of compose himself, get a little bit more comfortable in that position. He's approaching the head wall. He knows the climbing's about to spice up an extra level. So yeah, it's great to see that he's kind of composed himself and taken some time to recover there.
Well, a bit like Jan, he's only got a minute left on the clock as well.
We really nearly lost him there. His right hand slipped right down. You heard, I think, his coaches and his teammates step up the screaming because he so nearly fell off. It's a great recovery from him.
It was indeed. And look, he's struggling now. Bumps that hand, trying to get towards the good bit of it. Gets a drop knee and a match. How is he still on? But then he falls.
I very much doubt he'll be awarded the plus for that. His body weight was coming down as his hand flailed up. Really worth a slap though. Like, why not reach up as you're coming down? He looks disappointed with that. I don't know if he'll know that he's in the hot seat right now with 39 points. He's quite a lot higher up than Paul. But yeah, not at the head wall yet. We haven't seen anyone get into those blue holds, but a really good climb from him, I think. There were moments where he looked super solid, and then towards the end to make that recovery after a slip with the right hand. We didn't see it close up, but you could hear the Korean team really ramp up the volume, and you knew something wasn't quite right. But a great climb from him.
Yeah, and good separation at the moment between our top three athletes who have climbed already. Sarato will be out next. High up on 39 is our score. And let's see some of the action there. So that was the leap, the dyno. Good work from him. He had to reach underneath, hit a cheeky figure 4 in there in order to get a bit more height. And then this was the moment it started to go for him, bumping the hand left, made the match, eyed up the left hold, slapped towards it for the plus. We don't think he'll get it. Okay, somewhere back there is Sarato Anraku, 16, and he strides out with purpose across the mat.
Yeah, looking very, very focused.
We said he maybe didn't have the best of boulder rounds. I think he's looking for a bit of revenge here. Puffs that chalk in the air, just reminding himself of the sequences. It was quite a long time ago these athletes looked at the routes, about 5:35 exactly, and it's now coming up to 8:12, so he's had a bit of time away.
Interesting that we say he didn't have the best of boulder rounds. He finished 4th, but for him, coming off the back of winning the qualification, or finishing first in qualification and in semi-finals, you know, finishing 4th isn't the best of boulder rounds for him. So if you're looking at the results, don't feel like we're being harsh to him.
No, I think I was being unnecessarily harsh. I think I'm so used to these talking about positions.
You know, his performance in boulder wasn't as good as it was in semis. That's undeniable, and he wasn't happy with his performance in semi-finals for lead either. We saw him miss a clip and make a huge recovery. So to see him in this round now, I think he'll have actually a different mindset, because it's almost like he's got something to prove coming into this. He said his hands felt cold. He said he had issues with clipping, and his words were that his climbing was imperfect, and he seems like an athlete that wants to give a perfect performance every time. So I think that's why we saw that focus in his eyes. He looked different to the way we've seen him previously, like a different energy about him, and he's so smooth through this first section, making very light work of all of this section, and just taking a little time to chill here. I think he's looking confident.
Yeah, I think you're completely right. You've read that really well. He has got that attitude about him, and he's now on the jugs, resting. And he loves being on a lead rope as well.
At only 16, it does feel like these younger athletes, they aren't specialists anymore because of the Olympics being a lead and boulder event. We've got that lead and boulder event next week to decide who gets those who finishes in the top 3 spots and who will get their Olympic tickets. So yeah, with the younger athletes, it feels like they are just lead and boulder specialists,
yeah, exactly.
Not one or the other.
No. Well, he makes the jump look really good, untwists himself on the rope again. Paul, the only one to be tall enough, seemingly tall enough to reach across with his feet and then kick off.
I wonder if that in some ways was a disadvantage. It slowed his pace. He seemed to think about trying to do it statically. The route setter said it is possible to do that. Paul would be an athlete that would have been able to reach that. Serato, unlikely so. He didn't even seem to consider it. He just charged straight through that, not upsetting his pace of climbing, whereas for Paul, it did change that.
Yeah, it's a good point. And Adam Ondra later on, similar height, he might get caught into that trap too, but that's to come. Serato is looking casual as he looks down the clock. The clocks are facing up towards the athletes as well as out towards the audience, so the athletes can see easily when they're up on the wall. Gets a toe in, and hard to see, but I think he's into the pocket.
Yeah, just making some adjustments there, making sure he's got it really, really solid so he can do this drop down. He looks casual here. His feet are not on anything. They are just smearing, just on the wall. All his weight's going through his arm right now. And now we see him start to use his foot placements to kind of aid his arms a little bit.
Yeah, he's up towards the first of the crimps.
His toes are low here, but he's walking them up. Something that Sean didn't see, unfortunately. But Serato looking very comfortable here. That high toe seems a lot more effective.
Yeah, it does. And he's checking the clock, but he has got a bit of time.
He's currently resting on a hold that doesn't have a jib on. It's really sloping. Impressive that he's resting where we've seen other athletes struggling to even manage to stay on the wall.
Sticky Serato, that's his nickname. He's so good at holding on to stuff like that. All right, so he has the... he's wrapped his hand around the volume, makes the clip, and now he's got this mantly move to come with that shoulder press on the right arm.
Yeah, we saw him do the wrap, opt to change it, and then make the move to the left, and then change it back to the wrap. A great adjustment that he made there, because I think it would have been really awkward to move left off that wrap. He went straight into the mantle, opting not to take that rest, which is interesting. It seems like he's got a time pressure. Like, he seems like he's feeling the time pressure when I don't think he needs to necessarily be, but he's ramping up the pace and not taking any rest through the section at all.
It's a good point. He's got a lot of time left, minute 48, and he's about to enter the head wall. But he is going quickly, has the toe in, and he moves into the lead as well with that 40. Bumps the foot, scrubbing against the volume, and now finds a toe. Oh, that's powerful.
It was powerful, and he was starting to fight there. You could see he was working through his hips to get his hips high, but then the pace and the style changes so significantly. Suddenly he's standing on his feet. It looked like he really wanted to be in this head wall. He seemed more comfortable as soon as he rocked round, but now it seems to have got a lot harder. He hasn't clipped yet, but that cross through with his foot just saved him, and he's managed to make the clip.
Yeah, I think he might have been trying to push on and then got in a better position and decided to make the clip. So let's see if he can get something back here for the top, because he drops the rope again. So he readjusts, slaps left.
He's back into fight mode. You could see his hips moving around, trying to help him figure out what the best position was there. I appreciate that this section was called the hip section, because they really need to move as well as they can here. He seemed happy. He seemed like he'd fought as hard as he could. Maybe not figuring out the correct sequence through that, but so hard to do when you are that pumped. I don't know, he's looking up, he looks a little bit confused, but he did seem like he pushed right to the very end.
He did, and to let you know, Do-Hyun Lee's score is being under appeal. So the Korean coaches are wanting to upgrade his score from 39 to 39 plus. So we'll see if that goes through. Do-Hyun in silver at the moment, and the coaches might just be trying to secure their athlete a position on the podium, which is what their job is to do. So let's watch this from Serato, jumping over, a good dynamic move from him. And this was one of the high foot moves after that sequence. Footwork on the sloper. That was the flick with the hands, and the moment he fell, pushing away from the wall and setting our new high point and our current leader. Yun Chang Song comes out, another Korean athlete here. Very, very young.
Another 16-year-old. This final has a variety of different ages, actually. Something we've not seen so much this season.
Yeah, well, we've got the oldest, Adam Ondra, at 30 years and, Jakob Schubert, 32 years, 7 months, and then, yeah, 16 years old, so huge difference between them. So Yun Chang Song starts off, and the audience eerily quiet here. I think you were right when you said it earlier. They know that they should get through this bottom part. They're just waiting. But always hand jammed, fantastic. Well, I said it wasn't a crack, it kind of is. That's awesome to see. Really
Unusual that he opted to hand jam there. This guy is very confident on his hand jams, more so than the laybacks. It's almost hard to believe for me. I don't know how anyone would be more comfortable on a hand jam than a layback. But yeah, he was very happy in there, and I'm sure making a lot of fans. Yeah, quite a flex from him there.
There's whole YouTube videos that are made whenever there's a crack, so you guys go nuts out there. Right, well, he's through that section, fun to see. And now let's see how he does this skip to the left.
It feels like on the women's route we were tense from the get-go because it was quite insecure climbing, whereas with the men's it seems to allow them to get into a little bit of a rhythm, maybe a few moves that might make them think. Do-hyun not opting to go faster at all, so solid through that movement that the route setters had intended to be more dynamic. He didn't even need to flick in the slightest, kept both feet on, and I think when he gets to this more dynamic move coming up, we'll see him move through it really smoothly. And then kind of the meat of the route starts to really kick in just before the head wall on these yellow kind of long volumes. It gets relentless quickly. This start section, not challenging them too much, but just tiring them out enough so that when they get to this really beefy section in the middle, they've not got a lot left.
Oh, and he's fallen. Well, let's see a replay of that in a second, because that was a very early fall from Yun Chang Song, and that will leave him down at the bottom. Yeah, he was looking solid, wasn't he? So we're expecting some kind of a slip. We'll wait for the close-up. And a shake of his head, of course, from that. And he looks like he just wants to get out of there as quickly as possible right now.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one for him to process.
Yeah, so early slip. As we were kind of getting into the rhythm of his run, he comes down. Let's see it again. Tricky angle to see it from here.
So he's going up. I wonder if he maybe misses the slot, or if a foot slip or a hand slip.
Yeah, that's hard to see what's happening from that angle. That's much better. It was a foot.
Yeah, his left foot slipped, and I think potentially his right toe was toe hooking, so he didn't have, his right foot's going to slip.
So that was it. We saw the slow motion of that slip.
A really unfortunate slip. He did seem to keep swapping his feet around, maybe suddenly feeling quite nervous. I'm not sure what happened there.
There was a dual text bit where that crimp is, so he might have just hit the wrong bit of it.
He seemed solid in the crimp because when his foot slipped, his hand didn't move.
Yeah.
So it was the body coming out from the wall that meant that he could no longer hold on with the hand. If your hand's insecure, when the foot slips, the hand will go straight away. So his hand was solid. It did not move for quite a while after the foot slip, but unfortunately the hold wasn't good enough for him to be able to save it. So unfortunate, and not what he would have been wanting at all.
No, down in 17. All right, well, 5 athletes gone, 5 to go in this long men's final. A long final generally here. It's going to go a little bit over time from what we thought, so thank you very much for that. Let's watch as we have our pause in proceedings here. This is Paul early on. First climber out from France, and that was his fault. High up on the route. He set the high point for quite a while before he was pushed. Sean Bailey, looking calm, made this jump. A flick with the hips, lands. A good angle there to show just how far that jump is. It's a long way.
Yeah, it's a very long way. When you stand underneath it, it seems even further.
It does, and sliding off that jib. Didn't really have his hands over on it properly.
Yeah, I think that was a route reading error from Sean there. He committed to the toe hook quite low. If he'd have bumped that toe hook higher onto the blue hold, I do think he would have reached it and we would have seen a lot more from him. So unfortunate route reading error there.
It was, and then that was Dokkan Lee's fig four in the middle, which was cool to see. Slap to the left where he needed to match it. He got the match in, as you're about to see, but pump was building, couldn't hold it.
Impressive to get that foot up when he's fighting so hard and make that match work. And then, yeah, he just comes straight out from the wall. He slaps it with his hand, but his hips were going straight down. There was no way he was holding that next hold. But a really great effort from him.
Absolutely. And then Serato, our current leader on 48. This was the journey of his route. Hit the flick nicely, as we'd expect for him. Reaching down and under after that. So that high foot move in order to rock up higher up into the press sequence. Flick that hand around.
Really making his body work, getting into some small positions and making the route as efficient as possible for him.
Yeah, and that is our current leader as we watch Yu Chan Song's early fall. Okay, halfway through then, Ao Yurikuze comes out from Japan. Good to have him back in a comp.
Ao had a really good season in 2022, and then coming into this year, he's had some good results, but maybe not results as good as you would expect from him. I don't believe we've seen him in a finals this year, so I'm sure he's really happy to be out here. But we know he can give a really good performance, and we've seen him fight so hard on a head wall, so I do hope we get to see that again from Ao.
Yeah, and a lead specialist, so this is where he needs to shine, to show the Japanese selectors he should belong in that team, because it's so big, so much talent in there.
So competitive.
So he's into the crack. No hand jam.
To my delight and your disappointment.
I know. I just know that the climbing geeks out there are loving it. Stick a cam in it instead. Right. So he's a couple of clips in and out towards the pinch, and we know by now pretty straightforward down low. But that sequence you can see in your camera is coming up.
We know it's straightforward, and as I was saying previously, we expect athletes to kind of get through this quite quickly, but then we just had a huge surprise.
True.
So maybe not as straightforward as we imagined.
No, and when it happens, you start to get a bit more nervous about certain sections.
Yeah, and I think you can feel that again. I talk a lot about the crowd and the atmosphere, and it's really hard to explain how that feels on the wall. Also, I think Ao will have heard the reaction to Yun Chan's fall, so he knows that slips are possible. It changes how you feel going into it. Maybe it makes him feel good that he knows he's confident and not going to make those mistakes. He also knows that he can definitely place higher than Yun Chan potentially, or he's worried that slips are possible. Yeah,
exactly. A lot going through his head right now, and the tension in the stadium right now is crazy. Everyone's eyes glued on the action. 2 fingers into that pocket, and we begin this swing sequence. Oh, he just got that left hand in then.
A very different style of jump there, kind of flicking the legs quite dramatically. Maybe not necessary, but it worked for him, and it doesn't matter, that move is over now. That didn't seem like he struggled with it at any point, just a very different style.
Yeah, absolutely.
I bet that made a great photo.
I bet it did, yeah. It's funny, you can see the photos that appear later on social media sometimes. All right, so he rests with a high left foot in order to get into that position. You remember, he needs to climb down from this point, and this casual one-armer is great. Tries to find a toe underneath, can't get it the first time or the second. This is going to be sapping him, and he goes back for the rest.
Yeah, so we've seen other athletes here cross their hand underneath, so their left hand to the pocket. I think he's going to make that adjustment now. Yeah, we see him go left hand. He's going toes above his head. This seems like the more effective way to drop down to the pocket. The pockets are really good. They're very positive. Yes, he's only got 2 fingers in each, but for these climbers, that's not going to challenge them too much. So just a little bit of like a wobble for him in reading beta there. Again, just coming up short, maybe not finding his flow just yet. It seems like he's making some very small mistakes, but they don't seem to be costing him too much energy, luckily.
Yeah, I loved how he used that left foot there as an intermediate to readjust back to the crimp. All right, so big move up to that pinch-like feature. Out to the right, and he's eyeing up the next series of holds. Gets the toe locked in.
gets the toe locked in, looks to the right, is going to step his toe higher to the blue hold. Exactly what he needs to do. Hasn't yet hit the jib, so the black hold that you can see on this yellow volume, his hand's almost on it there. He'll feel it with his pinky, so he'll know exactly where he needs to readjust to. He's obviously not struggling because he's not gone to it here, so he must feel very comfortable in that position. A good sign that he's got some beans left for the next section. Yeah,
and he'll need it because it's tough bits coming up. It was fascinating that, as you said, pinky on it. I thought he'd immediately bump into it, but he just chose not to. All right, so up underneath. Makes the long clip. We've got this. Oh, no, he drops down the rope, deciding better of it. Wanting a different position to clip from.
Yeah, I'm not surprised he changed that clipping position. It was a very tense position to choose to try and clip from. It's almost like he got sucked into thinking about the clip and realised he didn't need to make it just yet.
So starts this rock up. He's got the crimp in front of his face, right by his nose almost.
Opt into shake, which is, I think, a great move here because it's a really good position to rest in. You're not kind of taxing your arms at any point just there, but bringing our eyes back to the time, he is on 1:30. He does need to keep climbing. He can't rest for very long now. Yeah,
and he is breathing hard and a bit of a shake going on right now.
Misses the clip.
Yeah, he could be running out. Those elbows coming up. It'll be interesting to see if he tries to reclip. I think he's gone. He does. So outside, into bronze medal position with that 38. Dokkan's score not upgraded to the plus. He stays on 39. And Sorato out in front on 48. And Al's score adjusted there to 38 plus.
Yeah, he looked really, really tired all of a sudden. He was resting quite low down, looking quite fresh, not using the jib like we said. It looked like he had a lot more to give. And then suddenly as he hit these higher yellow holds, it gets really powerful and quite awkward. The climbers, they're moving their hips around, trying to get in a position that feels comfortable, not able to do that, so having to just fight through it. He hit the highest left long hold with his left hand, trying to come in with the right hand. That's why he was awarded the plus, because that hold will get 2 points.
Okay. That's the explanation. That was the jump, flicking off those good pockets and down the rope, running through the quick draw there. That was the jib he decided not to use at the beginning, and this is where he started to look tired. Head pressed against the wall, eyes upwards. This was lower down.
Suddenly his face not seeming so relaxed anymore.
Alex Megos walks onto the stage to a huge reaction from the crowd. One of those figures in climbing, you just recognize him wherever he goes.
And rightly so. What a year he's having. He's done 3 World Cups. He's been in 3 finals, stood on 2 podiums. He's had a second, a third, and a fourth. There's only 1 number missing from that top 4. Whether we'll see that or not today is yet to be seen. Alex can give an amazingly inspiring performance at times, but we do see him make mistakes. I hope we don't see that today. He's seeming on a new level this year. He seems to keep stepping it up. He is an Olympian, and he will be looking to get an Olympic ticket, whether it's here or at future events.
Absolutely, yeah. And look, he's hand jamming as well. He spends a lot of time in your neck of the woods up in Sheffield, so maybe he's learned that from you.
He'll be making a lot of fellow Sheffield climbers proud right there.
So he reaches underneath, bumps out with the right hand, and he is underway. Yeah, he is looking good, and he's got. He posts a lot of videos about his training, and it's pretty crazy to watch him and Sebastian Helenke. So not Sebastian. I can't forget his name. I'm gonna be quiet. But yeah, lots of training videos. He works hard in the gym, this man.
He does. He's a big fan of training. He loves to train. He kind of feels much worse when he takes multiple rest days. He actually messaged me earlier on today saying, when do you want to go training while we're here? I'm like, you're at the World Championships, Alex. Focus on the climbing. But no, training it's in his DNA. It's what he does. It's what he loves. And you can see it paying off in his climbing. This year, he seems to have changed something up. He seems to be stepping up the pace a little bit, both in boulder and lead. And yeah, I'd say he's one of the favourites that you will see getting an Olympic ticket at some point, whether it is at this event. There are multiple other opportunities to qualify for the Olympics. It's not just here. We'll only see 3 men and 3 women get their boulder and lead ticket, and 2 men and women in speed get their tickets. So yeah, it's a long road ahead for these athletes.
I'm so excited to commentate that moment when they get that. I wasn't doing this job back in the day, so I personally can't wait for that. Right.
Oh, a risky move from Alex there.
Yeah.
He went left hand up, not right hand for the match like we've seen most of the other athletes do. He seems a little flustered all of a sudden, but hopefully he can have a little moment to calm down.
Yeah, but he has. He dragged that left hand down the slope and tried to stop a bit of a momentum there. And now he starts the swing. Let's watch this. So big flick out, huge from Alex.
Alex, not normally a fan of this kind of move. I wonder if it was playing on his mind on those few previous moves. So hopefully now he can get into a good rhythm, find his flow again. Interesting to see him kind of not looking comfortable, especially on a one arm on a pocket. Like, that's Alex's happy place normally. So to see him kind of take that swing a little bit more edgy than we'd normally see, and also a big rest here from him, turning to check the clock. There's a lot of time gone already, but he doesn't seem to be struggling with time right now.
Yeah, well, he's got the bit maybe he was not looking forward to out of the way now. So after this rest, he'll launch downwards, which is a weird thing to say, but that's what he's going to do. So he's going back for another rest.
Ideally, he wants to take his left hand into the pocket, then get 2 toe hooks where his right hand is, like right now. So where his hands are, his toes want to end up, and he wants to be totally upside down and almost a bat hang, but his hands will still be on, so he won't be entirely resting on his feet.
Well, that was the move Shauna was talking about. And of course, it's hard to see that pocket. It's not tick marked that I can see. And he needs to trust it's there. All right, well, he's done the sort of complicated bit of climbing. Let's see what he can do. How much has he got left in those arms? He's in 6th currently, aiming for 48, and he's on 27.
Puff in his cheeks. He's having to try hard here. He looked relieved to get through that section, but almost surprised at how tired he was.
Yeah, I think you're right. He's having to work here. His toes locked in. Hits the pinch nicely.
And left elbow slightly raised. He's doing a very different sequence here to the other athletes. Hands in a different order, but it's making it work. He's going to flick his right hand into the palm. Hopefully he can press into this, make this clip, get something back, and we'll see a good fight from Alex on this next section. But he looks more tired than I would expect him to look at this point.
Yeah, he is. So a battle for Alex Magos here.
He does love a crimp though, so hopefully he can get happy on there.
Yeah, he locks it off, hits the shoulder remove as an intermediate, goes into another crimp up on the wall. That was the move Dokkan struggled on. The clip is behind his head though, he's ignoring it at the moment. And he's still ignoring it, so trying to get into a better position, but he might just be trying to get points here. It's a long way now towards his right, this clip.
He has a heel on, he's managing to chalk, he's going to try and think about what he can do. Impressive flexibility from Alex there, almost in full split, but he's going to have to reverse, I think, to be able to make this clip. He's crossing over. I'm not sure if he'll be awarded that hold because you only get the points for the hold where you can clip from. So unless he could clip from that point, because he doesn't have the clip behind him in, he potentially won't be awarded that hold. It looked like he got into a position where he just wasn't able to make the clip.
Yeah, he had his head in the hands as he fell, and a shake of the head as well.
He had a lot of tape on his fingers, it looked like there, something that is... Alex struggles with his skin quite a lot. His fingertips often bleed. It looked like he had a couple of tips tape potentially, and he did point at them or look at them at least when he came down.
Yeah, and he's chatting to his coach, I think, there, down at the front. Yeah, you can see that tape.
It looks like he's done a big effort on that climb. Considering he looked a little uncomfortable and a little hesitant low down, great to see him get up high and give a good fight.
Oh, he says goodbye. He really appreciates that support from the audience. He looks exhausted
He
there as he
really
comes
does. He
across.
looks like he's been beat up.
Give
Fair
Serato
play
a
for
hug.
keeping his cool and keeping fighting through that.
Yeah, I imagine that'll be most of the discussion back there in the hot seats. Well, Alex launched across, and it was a fight from then on. Sean Bailey smiling up there from the athletes' seats. They, of course, can watch.
We do only have 3 athletes to go, and we are yet to see the head wall.
True, yes. There's a lot of climbing we haven't seen yet. Well, that was Alex's toe. This is where he went a bit too far to the left.
Sorry, I take that back. We saw Serato on the head wall. We're yet to see the final moves. Seems like so long ago. I almost forgot, but wow, what a performance.
Okay, well, I hope we see more of this head wall as Jakob Schubert comes out with a big smile on his face. I think he's going to enjoy every second of this.
And the crowd, they are loving Jakob coming out.
Yeah, you asked me a question of who I think might win, and I said, well, look, I enjoy watching Jakob climb, and I really do. He's just got that... Oh, nearly fell off the stage there. I thought he did anyway. He's right on the edge of it, trying to peer back. It's hard to see. It's a very overhanging wall.
But what confidence. He's come out and he's looked straight at that head wall. That's where he wants to be heading.
That's a good point. Yeah, we know where Jakob's headed. Right. No mistakes, please, Jakob. Keep this together. See what you can do. Crack coming up first.
It's rare that we do see Jakob make mistakes because he's so experienced. I really hope we get to see a good fight from him. It's something special when Jakob kind of enters that beast mode, you know, when he's really pushing it and he's fighting hard. He does seem to be able to give absolutely everything on a lead wall.
He really does, yeah. When he starts screaming, you know he means business. First of all, he's got a new school jump to get through. And that unique sequence in the middle when he drops down to the pockets, that's coming up. But he's taking his time down low, climbing his way into this route. Got crimps to come. Lovely shot there. A bit of foreground as Jakob goes up. And that tongue, he always does that, sort of like rotates it around in his mouth. I just did it there. I know you can't see it at home.
Yeah, it just shows that he's so focused and so absorbed in his climbing. He's not thinking about what he looks like. He doesn't care what he looks like.
Nope.
He is an athlete that he gives it 100%, and you can see that he can enter this state of flow very easily, it seems, but that's something that he's practiced. It's something that he's trained for. Looking slightly hesitant here. I wonder if he read the route with Alex. He looked like he was going to go left hand, changed his mind to go right hand, showing his maturity. The left hand definitely seemed risky for Alex, which maybe is what unsettled him. Jakob, not upset by it at all, not looking to struggle on that at all.
Yeah, so now he starts the swings. Hits the hole well, and he's through that part of the route, that risky move.
Jakob's, again, someone I wouldn't think would be too psyched about that move, but didn't seem to slow him down. And the fact that we haven't seen any athletes drop the move, I think, will be a good thing.
Well, the athlete's sitting in the hot seat. Serato in that hot seat currently. He's got the high point. Good resting position from Jakob there, using the top of his foot to press into that jug-like hold. It's the rope running through the quick drop. And he's got this drop-down move to come. He needs to reach underneath towards the pocket. We've seen quite a few different methods of this through here.
He seemed to look really comfortable on that start section, so I'm quite surprised he's taking a longer rest as he is here. He is an experienced climber, so I don't think he'll have an issue with time. I don't think he's going to struggle with pacing himself, but just interesting that he is taking that long rest. Maybe that jug is just too good to let go of, like you said earlier.
Yeah, well, he's quickly through this rotation as well. That was really strong on that right hand.
It was, and he was able to be so strong because he threw his hips, really twisted them round onto his arm and put all his weight in the right position so that he was able to reach through.
Right, so Jakob micro shakes as he goes. Yep. It gets the toe in. There's that jib to come, which has caused a few problems, that jib, but Jakob hits it first time of asking. Crimps those fingers in and double toes.
Nice to that section with the kind of stepping his toes through. It's hard to see how difficult that is. A lot of tension required. It just shows how good he is on toe hooks. Really seems like he did read the route with Alex. He's doing the same sequence here that we've not seen any other athletes do, opting to go left hand up to the yellow volume, so there's a little black jib under there, crossing under. It seems like a great way to do it, actually, not the way the route setters intended, so potentially Alex and Jakob finding a better sequence than the route setters did.
There we go. Teaching them a thing or two.
Out again.
Yeah, well, the route setters do what? It's worth remembering as well. They set these and then they sit there avidly watching the climbers go. Jakob presses up with that right hand. So overhanging there, isn't it? Look at his face on the wall. He's eyeing that foothold. Brings his feet up. He's a couple of moves away from the head wall now.
Jakob often wears his emotions on his sleeve. You know, you can see what's going on. You could see him puffing there. He's starting to try. We're not in like the hurt zone, as I would say, yet. He's not grimacing, but I don't think it'll be long before he is, because this climb is relentless.
Love that hurt zone thing. It's such a good way of describing it. Well, look, those circles indicate where the athlete's got to before, so we know what he's got to do. Great
to see him shaking there. Many athletes we've seen struggle on this section, so he's made the clip, which is really crucial. He's going to head to the left. He does look like he's got a lot more to give, using the toe hook there, very, very strong on that toe hook, and now he's got a crimp that he can start really pulling on the holds again.
Well, he's already in silver medal position. Can he get a few moves higher here?
And if there's a man you want to see on a head wall, it's going to be Jakob. There's definitely a few others to go who know how to fight on a head wall, so there's more action to come. But Jakob, it's a familiar place for him. He's been in this position before. He's won many competitions. I don't even know how many. He's a World Cup winner. He's a previous world champion. He's going to fight with everything he's got.
He's going to have to get a bit of a jog on. 37 seconds on the clock.
He did just look down, so he does know that, and I think that's why we're seeing him get a bit of a motor going on now.
Yeah, the audience trying to push him forwards as well. They know what's at stake here. 25 seconds to go. Gets the second last clip in.
Yeah, he's still got one clip to go. It doesn't seem like he's got enough time. It'll be really unfortunate to see him time out, so I hope he can keep fighting and get moving.
Well, we watched Janja really push earlier. Can Jakob do a similar thing? 10 seconds, it's not going to be enough time, you know. 8 seconds, he's almost out. Couple of holds, he needs to get higher, taps that, and that did do enough to bump him up due to countback.
And I think we might see him be awarded the plus. He did seem to be moving. Potentially his hips were moving upwards. We'll see if that score changes. He has been awarded the plus. So yeah, he is currently in first position, which means regardless of the next two climbers, he is on the World Championship podium.
Awesome work from Jakob,
and
guaranteed a medal.
Very happy with that, as he should be.
Honestly, I hope he never retires. There's no need. Just keeps on going, keeps winning medals, and he's got another one. Brilliant from him. So he's got a medal. Adam Ondra and Toby Roberts to come. That pushes Serato down into silver medal position.
You can just see what that means to him. You can see the emotion. It's so raw. It's so pure. The crowd love it. He loves the crowd. What a magical moment. And, you know, I don't think he even minds what comes next for the other athletes. I think he actually wants to see them do really, really well. He's satisfied with his own performance, regardless of what everyone else does. That is what we want to see. What an amazing fight. Unfortunate to see him kind of time out, but we did see him take a long rest, slow down, and wondered whether that would cost him. This is where he, on this jug, he was taking a long time, but smart climbing throughout the whole way for him. Really pleased for Jakob.
It is, and you're right about the encouragement thing. He screams up at the other athletes when he's waiting, always pushing them forward. It's good to see.
It's really good to see, especially from an athlete of his caliber, of his maturity. And yeah, great climbing from him. His dad and his sister are in the crowd, and they will have been loving that.
Okay, well, from one legend to another legend, Adam Ondra runs onto the stage. Someone who is used to winning on the biggest of occasions.
Again, another climber who knows when to turn it up for the big stage. One of my favorite climbing moments of all time was seeing him take the World Championship lead gold in Paris in 2016. Oh, it was an amazing moment. He knows how to perform. He knows how to perform under pressure. He did say he didn't necessarily like the semi-finals route. He found it quite awkward, quite uncomfortable. He said he got lucky, which I find interesting because it seemed like that route really did challenge the climbers in different ways. So interesting he put it like that, but I personally don't think it's luck. I think it's down to ability, preparation, training. This guy is arguably the best climber in the world from what he's done both in competition and on rock over many years, but he keeps turning up. He wants to keep showing that he's still up there with the best. We'll see who's crowned the best tonight, but Adam wants to be that guy.
He does indeed, and look at this, Jakob talking to Alex about the route down as they watch Adam go upwards. I think Adam with a hand jam there as well. There's this legendary story of him teaching the Japanese team how to jam after a miring crack, so yeah, he knows his way around that.
I am not surprised in the slightest that Adam opted for the hand jam.
And Adam, one of the taller climbers, it'll be interesting to see how he does that dyno move in the middle. His preparation, as you said, has been good for this. He's been building towards this moment, wants to get a ticket here, get that out of the way so he can just concentrate on training. And a risky way of doing it, and he makes it work on the big jug.
Seemingly risky, but almost not so much because he was so confident. There was no doubt in his mind that he was going to hit that, so it definitely looks risky. But for Adam, I'm not sure it was, and I think maybe that means that when he gets to this dynamic move that he's coming towards right now, I think we'll see him move through it very, very quickly. I'm not sure he'll try and kick his foot out, but maybe the temptation will be too much.
Will he get sucked into a feet-first move? And we'll find out in a sec. He's got that coming. Pockets are there. You can see it. Yellow pocket, first of all, near where his elbow looks like to be.
This year we're seeing athletes, like I said earlier, they are making really interesting choices about what events they go to. We've only seen Adam come to one World Cup this season in Villar, where he finished second, so
oh,
really,
hang on. He has gotten foot first.
Yeah, he's been sucked into the feet first. Like we said, he's a taller athlete, but seems to be maybe changing his mind, kicking off the hold, flicking over.
And an easy jump for him, yeah. I think he just used it to get a bit more momentum. But certainly for a moment, I think he considered it. He got a heel in for a sec.
He did, and I mean, if it was me and I was able to reach my feet across, I would probably attempt to go more statically. I'm not going to lie, it would be the safer way. But what I expect happened is when he kicked that foot across, it was obvious to him that the easiest method would be to flick, would be to go fast. And that's why he made that decision really, really quickly. Unlike Paul, who seemed to try and figure it out, spent a lot longer realizing that, Adam was much more decisive, and it showed his experience.
Yes, it definitely did. All right, well, he's through that part, gets a toe in. He's good at timing things, so you can see when he decides to move forwards, and now he's dropping down into straight to a fig four, and that is a big drop in.
It is, but again, a move that Adam loves to do. He's really well versed in using many different techniques when he's climbing. As we can see, he likes to use the most efficient method, it seems.
Oh, hang on a sec, though. He read that completely wrong. Didn't have the toes in, went through with the right.
Oh, I am so gutted for Adam.
Ah, so is he. He knows. He just made that mistake.
He made a huge mistake there, and that is something we very rarely see from Adam. The crowd giving him a huge applause. They know that's not what he wanted. He is so disappointed, understandably so.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't quite know where to look, does he? He just shakes his head up at the wall. That is heartbreaking for Adam. Oh, I'm actually devastated by that one. It was like we were getting into the flow of talking about him, and then just out of the corner of my eye, that mistake and the fall.
You can see on his face what that means to him. He doesn't want to just perform for himself. He cares about the climbing community. He wants to give a show to this crowd. He is so, so passionate about this sport. He really gives so much back. That is devastating for Adam.
Yeah, I mean, Jakob doesn't really need to say anything there. He knows what Adam's going through in that moment. Well, this was down low. He made the jump. Cross through, he popped a foot or something.
It looked like maybe he put his toe in and it wasn't in the right position. His left foot was still quite wide, so he didn't put all the weight through the toe. And yeah, it just slipped right out of there. It's very unusual to see Adam make such a big mistake like that.
Well, it happens, doesn't it, in climbing? So Adam is gone. And just like that, we have our final climber out. Toby Roberts has been waiting, and Toby Roberts is ready to go.
For Toby, right now he's just been sat in isolation. He has been waiting for Adam's attempt, which has been over a lot quicker. I hope this hasn't flustered Toby. You know, he'll have a routine, whether it's put his shoes on, put his chalk on, the liquid chalk, have a sip of water, whatever that might be. That's all had to happen much faster because Adam's attempt was cut short by his mistake. So a different setup to what Toby would have expected, I imagine. I don't think he would have guessed Adam would have fallen off that low. He'll have heard the reaction from the crowd. He'll have heard that Jakob got high up and potentially also Serato. So, yeah, I think Toby knows that mistakes are possible. I really hope they're not in his mind as he's climbing and we get to see him get to that head wall. Jakob and Toby probably are my two favourite climbers to see fight in the head wall, and Adam, of course. I'm so sad we didn't get to see that, but all eyes are on Toby right now.
Yeah, this is it for the young man. First got a medal in Edinburgh last year, and he's progressed from there. His mum and dad are watching in the audience, and his dad especially travels the world with him, and he will be very nervously pacing. Go and watch Toby's vlogs as well if you want to see some behind-the-scenes World Cup travel action. All right, Toby, underway. Suddenly, again, that audience, that feeling in the stadium changes. It's nervy now.
Yeah, Adam's slip there has changed how this atmosphere feels, and the crowd, this is their last climber. They know it is. This suddenly means a lot more. It's been a long final, it feels like, and it's all led up to this moment. The World Championships is Toby's for the taking. No one has topped this climb. We haven't seen anyone reach the top. I think Toby wants it. He's going to be fighting hard. He's so good at unlocking that extra try hard that so many people aren't able to kind of access. And checking the time there, he's got lots of time on the clock, but being very smart in doing that when he's in such a comfortable position.
And it's making our podium form here. Jakob Schubert guaranteed at least silver, Serato at least bronze. Only Toby can make a difference. Alex sitting in bronze currently. And Toby, again, a bit like Adam did, hesitating in this move. Where's with the right hand?
Yeah, I do wonder whether they all read it to go left hand and then they get there and suddenly it's a bit different. It didn't seem to slow him down too much or take too much energy away from him. He's looking to think about clipping here. I imagine he may go to the next hold in order to make that clip. He hasn't, so he's made it before going to the pocket. Should allow him to get a good flow going into this next section. All
right, he's into those pockets. Now starts the swing. Slight hesitation on the first swing. Now starting to drive, but a bit jerky from him. Oh, and he has slipped. Oh, and he's held it. He has fallen. He didn't ever look comfortable with the swing.
No, he really didn't. It looked like he just didn't find a flow with his hips, and he ripped out of that left pocket, almost saved it with the right, and you could see him really fighting to stay on the wall. That is a disappointing climb for Toby. You can see it in his face. He's a young athlete. He's got so much more to give this sport. A big, big lesson learned there, and a surprising end to this final.
It is. Well, I mean, it feels like a moment, but let's remember, Jakob Schubert has just won gold medal at the World Champs.
He has, and
not the way he would have wanted to win it, perhaps, but
definitely not, but a very deserved win. He gave the best performance of the round, and he fought so hard. You can see Toby here on screen, and yeah, it's going to be a tough one to swallow. He had a disappointing round in Boulder. He did finish 19th. He made the semi-finals at World Championships in Boulder. He made the finals in lead. He's going to be in this lead in Boulder event that we've got to come. I hope he can learn from this quickly. He can take this and really show everything that he can in that next event. But yeah, back to Jakob. Wow. Wow,
yeah, gold medalist for him. Serato takes a medal, and Alex takes a medal, so brilliant. But yeah, I mean, look, this is, for Toby, if we're going to, one last time for him, I mean, this is where you learn, this is where you develop as a climber. Those moments he'll remember, and he will come back stronger.
18 years old, and I honestly think you don't see an athlete stay at the top. Even Janja, you know, she's faltered at times. You can learn so much from these mistakes, actually probably way more than the successful attempts. So, Toby, if you come back and listen to this, you've got a lot more to give this sport.
Absolutely. Well, we see this again. This was the moment. Didn't look good with the swing at the beginning, then lost the hand, held it for a bit. I thought he might pull it back, but it was just always slipping down, pinging off it back down to the ground. Unfortunate for Toby as you watch it one more time.
You could see when he was swinging there, he didn't relax into the backswing, so he was constantly trying to control it, and that's why his hand ripped, because he just didn't relax into the swing.
Well, there's a fire. I mean, Shauna, thank you so much for this evening. I'll see you in a couple of days. We spent so much time together, and finally we get a bit of time apart, but we will be back very soon for another broadcast. Thank you very much for joining me.
I can't wait to come back. What a celebration from Jakob there. He seems so happy, and thank you for having me. Amazing climbing. Wow, what an event.
See you soon, Shauna. Thank you. Right, well, the flower ceremony is coming to a close. The athletes will be on the podium after the interviews. Shauna going down and Jakob just shaking his head. So good to see him take that medal. And what a podium once again. 2 veterans and legends of the sport, and then the young, up-and-coming Sorata and Raku. Brilliant from him. And Jakob is the first man to win 4 gold lead world championships, and he's the oldest ever champion in lead. Doing it for all us veterans out there, let's call it that. Jakob will make his way over to the left. We get confirmation of the scores. So Jakob Schubert wins with a 48 plus. Sorata and Raku only a plus in it with 48. Alex Magos in 3rd, bronze medal position with a 40. Do-Hyun Lee, Ao Yurikuza, Paul Jem, Sean Bailey, Adam Ondra after an early slip, Toby after an early slip, and Yun Chang Song after an early slip. Those last 3 athletes all falling with mistakes. And it was a long final due to more athletes because of that qualification groups. And thank you so much for joining us if you did. What a final, ups and downs. Well, the podium is to come, I'll be quiet so we can hopefully hear. And Shauna has found Jakob down there, so let's hear from the man.
Jakob, what a wild final and some very big surprises. How do you feel right now? Are you surprised? Did you know you had this in the bag coming into this event, or what are your emotions right now?
Wait, you have to repeat the last sentence.
What are your emotions right now? Are you surprised? Did you know you had it coming into this final?
Hell no, I mean, I can't know if I had it. Like, this field is so crazy strong. I knew I had to basically have the climb of my life to win this World Championship title again with Adam, Alex, Sorato, Toby. I feel like the lead field is stronger than ever. So, yeah, I don't know. The emotions are crazy right now. Obviously, I'm surprised. I was like prepared to win a medal now, maybe win silver, maybe gold, who knows. But I was prepared for like some very exciting moments. And unfortunately, Adam and Toby made it really quickly. And like now I'm just like, I don't know what to say.
I can see how much this means to you. We can see your emotion on the stage out there. You've given this sport so much and you keep fighting. To see you out there taking the gold medal is such a privilege for all of us. I just want to say thank you for what you've done for the sport, and it's amazing to see you pushing these young athletes. It must feel crazy to compete against athletes that are so much younger than you, if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you very much for the nice words. Yeah, it means so much, like being able to challenge maybe one of like the craziest talents we have in nowadays with Raku Sorato. I think he's such an amazing climber, and if I can like teach him a thing or two, I'm like so proud. You know, I will tell my kids maybe that someday. I don't have any yet, but you know, I teach that climber a little bit, and now he's like the guy that wins everything. Obviously, also Toby, other super strong young climbers, and just coming out of top tonight means so much to me. And I think after being on the circuit for a long time, you even you know even better how to like live those moments, and I'm really living the moment right now, because winning in such an arena is just something you will never forget.
It sure is, and I've seen your dad and I've seen your sister in the crowd. I can imagine you want to get to them, so I won't keep you too much more. Can you give us a little bit of feelings that you've got going into the lead in Boulder next week? The Olympic tickets are on the line. Are you going for one of those?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, I have to say, like, my big goal of this event was for sure getting one of those Olympic spots. That's what I prepared for the most. I definitely also trained hard for bouldering, and I was pretty happy with my bouldering so far, and I really hope yeah, I can perform really well again next week. But obviously I knew my lead shape, like the last weeks I felt like in the best lead shape of my life, so I knew I had like a shot of winning a medal or maybe even defend my World Championship title here in lead. So I really, before this final, I said to all my friends, I'm going all in. I don't care if I like risk on any move. Like if I get 8th, I'm getting 8th, but I'm going all in. I want that gold. And tonight was all about tonight, and then tomorrow it will already be about the combined.
Well, I do hope you get to celebrate tonight, because you are the lead world champion. Take some time to let that sink in, enjoy it, be with your family. Thank you so much, Jakob.
Thank you, Shauna. Thanks, guys.
Well, thank you, Jakob. Good work. Once more, let's have a look at those results. For the women, first of all, Mori, she topped, as did Janja Garnbret, but due to count back, takes the gold and Janja silver. And so after that, 47 plus, she takes the bronze. Mia Krampel, Brooke Rabatu, Jessica Piltz, Laura Rogera, Mihona Naka and Molly Thompson-Smith. Well, make sure if you're leaving us now that you join us for more action from Bern, because there's plenty to come. Let's have one last look at the men, shall we? Jakob Schubert, 48 plus, we just saw him. Suratan Raku, Alex Megos make up our top 3. And currently, Jakob is being interviewed on stage. Nina Caprez on the microphone in the background. There is the podium. The audience applauding Jakob's interview there, our gold medalist here tonight. That podium waiting for the athletes who will go backstage and get ready. Podium just a couple of minutes away. The women have been waiting patiently and the men will now join them back. Those lead routes you can see behind the podium. Pretty spectacular, right? Interesting sequences. Well, let's have a look at how Jakob did that. This was the swing and the drop down. It was a good performance from him throughout, kept it together, and you heard in that interview with Shauna that he wanted to leave nothing behind. Locking off crimps on his way through. That was up on the head wall, big puff of the cheeks from him as he crashed upwards. Swinging down, high feet and a jump. And from then on, the mistakes of the others cost them dear. Hugging Alex there, good friends, those two. All right, it's podium time. You can hear the music cueing the athletes and volunteers to come on. Enter from the left towards that podium, striding across the stage. Janja once more doing that walk. Looks like they've synchronized their arms there. I wonder if that was part of the pre-show discussion. Debbie from the IFSC in the middle. She'll be awarding the ceremony tonight. And thank you for the person pointing out that we've been calling it an ibex, apparently it's a chamois. Who knew? Me and Sean are clearly not up on our deer breeds. Oh dear. Shanso takes bronze. Medal around her neck. And next up, Janja Garnbret. Well, we used to see her winning. Mori did one better here this evening. Janja, silver medal to add to our gold from Boulder, and clearly by the smile on her face, I don't think she minds too much from that one. She'll climb again for the Boulder and lead and trying to get that Olympic place. And finally, Mori is announced. She will stand up tall. She's won World Cups before. She's now a world champion. Congratulations to all our athletes, and especially to Ai Mori for taking that gold. A moment she will remember for a long time. And the Yanya Ai battle goes on. Those three women, I tell you, they are some of the world's best, especially in terms of lead. Well, they are the world's best, literally. Yanya already getting gold. Sticks with silver this time. Everyone files off through those arches. We reset for the men's medal ceremony. I'll be waiting over on the arches on the left. Not quite sure why they walk on from the left when there's an arch on the right, but I'm not party to those organisational decisions. Otherwise it would be carnage, let's be honest. We'll wait for the men to get ready. The audience waiting down at the bottom, who literally run into the stadium the second the doors are open. Very, very enthusiastic and knowledgeable crowd here. They understand and know climbing. Couple of seconds delay here as the I imagine the volunteers are just getting themselves ready back there. Lots of climbing to come, of course. We've still got the para climbing competition, speed qualification and finals, and of course the boulder and lead, where the Olympic tickets will be given away. Our podium finishers will receive one of those, the gold, silver and bronze positions for boulder and lead, and then for speed the top two move forward, so the ones in the big final. They will get that Olympic place. Other opportunities, of course, for the athletes to qualify, the OQS series next year, and the continental qualifying series as well coming up. The season going on a long time, actually, deep into November. And I think as the music drops down, we're almost ready. Yes, it is. Right, here we go. Men's podium time. The athletes sandwiched in the middle of the volunteers there, you can see them. Jakob standing tall, fist bump. As Shauna said, mum and sister in the audience, Hannah Schubert, pro climber herself. And she will love seeing her brother up there on the top spot. As will we all. Marco Scolaris this time giving the medals, IFSC president. He's the gentleman in the middle. Alex Megos joking around with someone there. So Alex with the bronze medal, laughing with Marco there. Another podium, another medal for Alex. Yeah, pretty good that. I wonder who'll get, I wonder if Alex will keep that, put it on his bookshelf, or if he's going to give that away. Serato, well, Jakob said that if he can teach this young man something, and Serato is impressing in the years to come, then Jakob will have given something back. Jakob Schubert still has some climbing left in him before he does that. Sorato for sure will stand on many, many podiums, you would imagine, in his time. Right now, he's got a silver. And finally, the man of the hour, the man with a true fighting spirit, Jakob Schubert, takes the gold in lead. Well deserved. And his Olympic campaign still wide open. Gold for Jakob as he raises his hands in the air, and he will love hearing his national anthem through the stadium. So let's sit back and enjoy. Huge congratulations to all three of those athletes and to everyone who competed in this lead competition. And with that, the individual events for boulder and lead draw to a close. Speed to come, paraclimbing to come, boulder and lead combined competitions later on. I hope you enjoyed an exciting evening of comp climbing, and we will see you very, very soon. We'll return later on in the week, myself and Shauna, to bring you more IFSC climbing action. Thank you for watching tonight. Congratulations to everyone who competed. And we will be back in a couple of days for more action.